the night after graduation day. "You are the nine-tailed fox spirit that destroyed the village," came the voice of his now former teacher, Mizuki. Upon hearing those words, the blonde child fell down, his world having shattered around him. The blonde's name is Naruto Uzumaki, Konohagakure's resident prankster and outcast. He had been tricked into stealing a village treasure, lied to buy his own teacher, and worst of all, learned a secret that number 12-year-old should have to deal with. Naruto couldn't hear anything after those words. All the other words spoken were little more than echoes in the far reaches of his consciousness. He vaguely heard Iruka-sensei, his kind teacher, denying it, but none of it registered until he saw a massive shuriken flying down at him. At that moment, the world slowed down and he felt a burning sensation in his eyes. But it didn't matter, he'd already accepted his death. Even if his body could keep up with his new perceptions, he didn't have the will to save his own life, so he closed his eyes. "I'm a monster." Those were the only words running through his mind, over and over, until he felt something warm dripping down on his head. Am I dead?" he thought before opening his eyes and seeing something he never expected. He wanted to scream, to run and get help, but only one word managed to come out of his mouth. "Why?" Iruka was looking down at Naruto, blood dripping from his mouth and tears dripping from his eyes. You'd expect them to be because of the massive weapon lodged in his back. But that wasn't it. These weren't tears of pain. They were tears of sadness and guilt. All he could do was think about his own past and how he could have better helped Naruto. And then Naruto's single-word question really reached him. Did he just ask me why? Why I saved him? This boy, this poor child, didn't even expect to be saved? He accepted his death and was shocked when someone saved him. How could any child? Iruka began to think. And then he noticed Naruto's eyes. At first he thought it was a trick of the light. Then he feared it was the Kyuubi's influence, but he felt no evil chakra coming from them. No, there was only one impossible conclusion for why Naruto's eyes looked the way they did, red with 2 tomo in each eye. The Sharingan. Iruka gasped out at last, breaking the silence that had occurred after Naruto's question. What? Naruto asked, caught completely off guard by his teacher's words. He knew what the Sharingan was, who didn't know about it. It was one of the 3 great dojutsu, belonging to the nearly extinct clan of the kid he claimed was his rival. But why had his teacher mentioned it? Your eyes, as the Iruka started, before being cut off by Mizuki. Lies. Those are the eyes of the demon fox. It's taking over his body, Mizuki shouted, as he jumped down from the tree and removed his shuriken from Iruka's back. Why would you protect him, Iruka? He killed your parents, so many others in the village, and even the Yondaime Hokage. I know you hate the fox as much as everyone else in the village, Mizuki ranted, lifting Iruka and pushing him against a tree, causing Iruka to wince as his injury made contact with the tree. You're right, Iruka shouted, causing Naruto to wince before Iruka continued. I do hate the fox, but Naruto isn't the fox. He's Naruto Uzumaki, and maybe now, with the Sharingan, he could even learn to control the fox for the good of everyone else. He says he's going to be the Hokage, and I believe that he can do it. Iruka's words caused Mizuki to truly look at Naruto's eyes, and he was shocked by what he saw. Iruka was right, it is the Sharingan. How is this possible? Lord Orochimaru mentioned how much he wanted the Sharingan. Maybe I could take his eyes to Lord Orochimaru with the scroll, and he'd be grateful enough to grant me even more power, Mizuki thought, but failed to notice Naruto's eyes go from shocked to determined. Iruka-sensei, Naruto muttered. He really does care about me. He believes in me. I can't let him down, Naruto thought, and unknowingly began to cast a genjutsu when Mizuki looked into his eyes. On Mizuki's end, he saw the pupils in Naruto's eyes turn to fox-like slits, keeping the tomo on either side of the slits. Then he saw Naruto's form grow more and more fox-like, as 9 tails grew one by one from behind him. Eventually, he saw Naruto turn into the full Kyuubi before passing out from the fear. In the real world, Mizuki was muttering "Kyubi, demon," while passed out on the ground. That was the scene Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, and his Anbu witnessed when they reached the clearing. Iruka bleeding against a tree, while Naruto was sitting on the ground in front of a passed-out and delirious Mizuki, the scroll still in Naruto's arms. Hiruzen approached Naruto, putting a hand on his shoulder while he took the scroll back, and motioned his Anbu to heal Iruka before asking the question on all of their minds. What happened here, Naruto? He already knew about Mizuki's betrayal and how Naruto was tricked, so he didn't expect any surprises. However, when Naruto looked at him, he had to double-take. Your eyes. Naruto, finally letting the shock wear off, started trying to act like his normal self. Hey old man, why does everyone keep saying weird things about my eyes? Naruto asked. He could feel that something was different and he could see a weird aura in people, but he hadn't actually seen his eyes since they changed. Mizuki-sen he started, before catching himself at the sensei part. Mizuki and Iruka-sensei both mentioned the Sharingan, but that's impossible, right? Don't only Uchiha have Sharingan? Unless I'm so awesome that I awakened it completely on my own. Naruto rambled, not wanting to bring up anything about the fox. Hiruzen, finally snapping out of his shock, ran through a few hand signs and pulled water from the surrounding plants, creating a floating puddle for Naruto to look at his reflection in. Here, Naruto, look at your eyes in this. Whoa! Naruto gasped, staring at his eyes in his reflection. I really do have the Sharingan. Does this make me an Uchiha? Am I related to Sasuke? Do I actually have some family left? Well, that remains to be seen. Now, how about we take the scroll back where it belongs and get Iruka some help? You've had a very long night, you need some rest too, Hiruzen told him, and then noticed as Naruto's Sharingan deactivated and tears began to form in his eyes. But I failed again. Mizuki told me I could J-graduate if I learned a J-jutsu from the scroll. If he was lying, I can never be a shinobi. Naruto stuttered, the night hitting him all at once. And he told me I'm a M-monster. I'm the Kyubi. You learned a jutsu from the scroll? Which one? Hiruzen asked him. He loved the boy like a grandson, but to hear that the dead last of the academy learned a forbidden jutsu in one night? The Shadow Clone Jutsu. Really? You learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu? Hiruzen asked, amazed. Could you show it to me? I guess. Naruto muttered, and made the sign for the jutsu. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he yelled, and suddenly an exact copy of himself appeared in a cloud of smoke. See, old man? I'm sorry for taking the scroll, though. I just really wanted to dash. He was cut off when he saw Hiruzen pull out a blue forehead protector, and watched as Hiruzen handed it to him. I think this belongs to you, Naruto. It's the forehead protector of the Sandaime Hokage. The one who he was cut off by an excited Naruto. The Sandaime Hokage? Really? He's the coolest. But Naruto trailed off, finally remembering what Mizuki told him. But Mizuki told me I'm the Kyubi. Why would you give his forehead protector to the one who killed him? Hiruzen looked at the boy, and then looked at Mizuki still muttering and knocked out on the ground. Good riddance. He deserves hell for what he did to this poor child, he thought, and looked back at Naruto. Naruto. He started, and realized Naruto was looking everywhere but his face. Naruto, look me in my eyes, he told him, grabbing the boy's attention. You are not the Kyubi. You are Naruto Uzumaki. The Sandaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, sacrificed his life to stop the Kyubi. However, the Kyubi is just a mass of chakra. If he had killed it, it would have just reformed and attacked once more. The only way to stop it was to seal it within someone. He sealed it within you, Naruto. You are not the Kyubi, you are its jailer. Those who can't see the difference, like Mizuki here, are idiots. And, with those new eyes of yours, you may even be able to use its power for the good of others. He sealed it in me? Why? Why me? Hiruzen stared at Naruto, considering whether or not to tell him the truth. Because of his Sharingan. We'll have to test his blood anyways, to see which side of the family it's from. He deserves to know the truth. Hiruzen thought, staring at Naruto. Even with the Sharingan, there's no doubt about who his father is. He may have Uchiha blood, but he has the same blonde hair and striking blue eyes as Minato. Well, Naruto, this is a secret and you would be in danger if it gets out. You have to promise me you won't say anything. Hiruzen told him, staring into his eyes. Yeah, I promise. And I never go back on my word. Alright, Naruto. The truth is that the Kyuubi had to be sealed within a child, when their body could still adapt to its power. But Minato couldn't ask just anyone for their child. Not if he wouldn't seal it within his own child. Hiruzen waited for the look of realization on Naruto's face, the reaction to the revelation he was told. Sealed it in. His son. His son. I'm the Yandame's son, Naruto exclaimed, and took the blue headband from Hiruzen, tying it around his own head. Was he an Uchiha? Naruto asked, reactivating and deactivating his new eyes. Do I have to keep my eyes a secret too? Hiruzen smiled at Naruto. With his headband on, he looked like a spitting image of his parents. Minus the whisker marks and Sharingan, at least. Well, I'm actually not sure which of your parents was the Uchiha. I'm guessing it was Minato, though an Uchiha without dark hair and eyes is nearly unheard of. Your mother, Kushina Uzumaki, who you got your last name from, came from another lost clan. I doubt she was an Uchiha, especially since she wasn't born in this village, but we can talk about her after we get Mizuki to the interrogation department. I won't ask you to keep your Sharingan secret, especially since it could improve your standing in the village. Hiruzen motioned for the remaining ANBU to take Mizuki, and he helped Naruto up. Now, how about you return home? You've had a long night and have team assignments in the morning. Hiruzen told him, and they left the forest. Team assignments the next day. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were all sitting in the classroom. Everyone else had left hours ago with their own Jonin teachers, and theirs had yet to arrive. Naruto stared at Sasuke. After last night, when he awakened his Sharingan, he just wanted to go up and talk to him. However, he was still Naruto Uzumaki. Imagine how hilarious it'll be when he sees my Sharingan. It'll be like an ultimate prank, and with my Sharingan active, his reaction will be permanently in my head. He vaguely heard Sakura complaining about their teacher being late, but he didn't care. He was too busy thinking about how hilarious it'll be when he shows Sasuke. At that same moment, Kakashi Hatake was finally making his way towards the classroom. He was 3 hours late, like usual, and was expecting some kind of prank once he made it to the door. He'd heard about his sensei's son, of course, and knew he was known as a prankster. He'd yet to learn about the events of the previous night, probably because a certain old Hokage wanted to watch Kakashi's priceless reaction to his sensei's son's Sharingan through his crystal ball. Kakashi, however, was moderately disappointed when he walked through the door without being pranked. Sakura was yelling at him. Sasuke looked annoyed, but Naruto's reaction was the one he noticed. A foxy, mischievous grin. The same grin he saw whenever he watched over him before one of his pranks while he was in the ANBU. My first impression of all of you is, you're boring. Meet me on the roof, and Kakashi disappeared in a swirl of leaves, leaving 3 stunned students. The roof. Minutes later, up on the roof. Now, I'd like you all to tell us a little about yourselves. Kakashi started, looking at his 3 prospective students. Like what? Sakura asked him. You know, the usual. Your favorite things, what you hate, dreams, ambitions, hobbies, things like that. He told her, waiting for someone to start. Well, why don't you go first, sensei? Naruto asked, wanting to learn more about his teacher. I read about him. He was trained by my dad. I wonder what he's like. I also heard he has the Sharingan somehow. Maybe his reaction will be priceless too. That's right. You're a complete mystery to us. Sakura told him, still upset over him being hours late. Oh, me? Well, my name is Kakashi Hatake. I have no desire to tell you my likes and dislikes. I don't really know what my dream for the future is, and I have lots of hobbies. All 3 just stared at him blankly. Now it's your turn. Let's start on the right, he said and motioned to Naruto. Yo, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love instant ramen, training, and pranking. He smirked at the last part, impatiently waiting for the chance to show Sasuke. I hate the 3 minutes it takes for ramen to cook, he continued and then glanced at Sasuke. Didn't his brother kill our clan? I could have had more family? He thought, and his eyes flashed red for less than a second, catching Kakashi's attention before returning to their usual blue. And I hate anyone who would kill my family. What was that? That flash of red? Was it the Kyuubi? But I couldn't feel any evil chakra coming from him, Kakashi thought, narrowing his visible eye at Naruto. Sakura ignored him, but Sasuke narrowed his eyes with Kakashi, but for a different reason. He hadn't been looking, but he'd heard Naruto and the drop in his voice. He sounded like me? I thought he was always an orphan. What family does he have? Something's different about him, Sasuke thought, before Naruto returned to his usual happy self. And my dream is to become the greatest Hokage. I want to have the people of this village respect me, and I want to bring honor to my family, he finished. I hope the other two don't look into the part about my family too much. And I'm sure Kakashi already knows, so it should be fine, right? If not, I'll just say I was talking about the Uchiha after I show them my Sharingan. Does he know about his father? Did Lord Third tell him? If he's talking about Kakashi began to think, but was interrupted. Family? You're an orphan. You don't even have friends. My parents always told me to stay away from Sakura began. But she was interrupted by the last person any of them expected. Sasuke. Shut up, Sakura, Sasuke yelled, surprising her. Yes, Naruto is an orphan, but so am I. He's annoying as hell. Sure, but why does everyone treat him like a monster and treat me like a prince? Neither of us asked for this. He yelled at her, and then an uncomfortable silence spread across the rooftop. Sakura just sat there, shocked by the emotion in his voice, shocked that he'd stick up for the dead last of their class, and most of all, shocked at how much she angered him. He's right, she thought, and looked over at Naruto. He looks surprised, but not at me. He looks like he's shocked that anyone would stick up for him, and I've just been yelling at him for years, because I thought it's what Sasuke would like. They just sat there, until the silence was finally broken by Naruto. Hey, Sasuke. Thank you for sticking up for me, but it's alright. I'm used to it. I'll just have to prove her and everyone else wrong. When I'm Hokage, they'll just have to eat their words. The last part was said with his usual confidence, but none of them missed the sadness in his voice at the start. What kind of life have you lived, Naruto? Kakashi thought to himself, even though he could easily guess. Alright, now how about we calm down? Let's go to the next person, he told them, and motioned for Sasuke to go. Sasuke sat there and recollected himself before he introduced himself. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. There are lots of things I dislike, and I don't particularly like anything. I don't have a dream, I have a goal, an ambition. I will resurrect my clan and kill a certain man. Sasuke's ambition wasn't as bright as Naruto's, but Kakashi could hear the similarities. They both held the same confidence and the same loneliness. It went unnoticed by Sakura, who was still shocked over Sasuke yelling at her. All right, you next, girl, Kakashi said, and motioned towards Sakura. Sakura sat there for a moment, before finally finding words to say. My name is Sakura Haruno. I like flowers and dislike. What Sasuke said was really getting to her, and she couldn't think of much else at the moment. I dislike my own ignorance. I think my dream for the future is I want to get to know people better without basing my opinions off of the opinions of others. She finished, shocking the boys. It seems like what Sasuke said really got to her. Maybe this team will actually pass my teamwork test, Kakashi thought, and then stood up. All right then. Well, I have to inform you all that you're not exactly genin yet. there's still one more test you have to pass. Meet me tomorrow at Training Field 7 at 10 o'clock. There, I'll decide whether you're really worth those headbands you were given. Oh, and don't eat breakfast." With that, Kakashi disappeared in another swirl of leaves, leaving the three alone on the roof. Well, he was cool. Thanks again. Sasuke, do you two want to go get our first dinner as a team? Naruto asked the two other prospective genin. Maybe another day, Naruto. Sasuke told him, and left before anyone could say anything. Why did I stick up for him? I just feel like there's some connection there. And what did he mean by bringing honor to his family? He almost sounded like me, Sasuke thought, as he left the academy roof and walked out of the building. Back on the roof, Sakura was sitting silently and Naruto was just watching her, confused, until, finally, she broke the silence that settled after Sasuke left. Naruto, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how rude I was actually being. And I'm sorry, but I can't get dinner tonight. Maybe all three of us can get food if we pass Kakashi's test tomorrow. Sakura told him. It's all right. Like I said, I'm used to it, and we'll definitely pass tomorrow. Believe it. With that, Naruto and Sakura both left the roof and the building, Sakura heading home while Naruto headed to the Hokage building. The third Hokage asked to see him after team assignments so they could test his blood and see how he's related to the Uchiha, and told him they could talk about his parents. Alright, this is my first time writing pretty much anything, unless you want to count some stories I wrote in elementary and middle school, but I wouldn't count those. If you can see anything wrong with my grammar or anything like that, don't hesitate to point it out. Like I said, this is my first time writing any kind of fanfic. I don't want to do any character bashing, but I may have exaggerated Sakura's bitchiness she had at the start so that I could give her a turning point more quickly. I don't dislike her character, but she was a lot better later on in the show. I think I'll give her some genjutsu training. That way she can have some skills before Tsunade shows up. I'll still have her train with Tsunade because that was probably her biggest turning point. As for Sasuke, I don't want to exaggerate his dick-like personality. He'll still be an ass because that's just kind of who he is, but I'm thinking that he'll feel less alone once he finds out Naruto is an Uchiha, even if he starts by being jealous of the Sharingan. Now, for Naruto. Yes, I do want to give him the Mangekyo Sharingan, and I mainly want to give him Kamui, hence the title, since Kamui is Authority of the Gods. However, I won't make him insanely OP. He won't immediately master using Kamui, like Obito did. I'm not sure how to handle the blindness. I'm thinking of making Kurama help with it, but that feels like a cop-out. I'm also unsure of how to give him the Mangekyo to begin with. I thought about having him awaken it when Sasuke dies at the bridge, but that also feels like a cop-out. So there's a lot of things I still need to decide about this, and I'm more than willing to accept opinions and advice. As far as Kurama, as much as I love his friendship with Naruto, they'll have even rockier of a start since Kurama hates the cursed eyes. However, thanks to his Sharingan, he'll be better equipped to try and keep Kurama's rage contained. It won't be perfect until much later, assuming I get that far, which I hope I do. Lastly, I imagine or hope future chapters will be more smooth and probably longer. I was really iffy throughout this because it was a lot of exposition, and God, I hate having to write exposition. There was also the issue of having to keep people's words with what was said in canon. After this point, it should be easier for me to write. Training Ground 7. Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno were all sitting on the ground, while an awkward silence hung over them. They had been waiting for 2 hours now, and their teacher, Kakashi Hatake, was late again. They had hoped yesterday was a one-time thing, but apparently they were wrong. What made it worse was the note they left off on the day before. It wasn't inherently bad, but now they weren't sure what to think about each other. Sakura still felt bad for what she said to Naruto, no matter how many times he told her it was all right. She also didn't know what to say to Sasuke. Even if it wasn't directed at him, what she said had obviously struck a chord with him, and it pissed him off. Sasuke was confused. He felt a connection with Naruto, and it still hadn't gone away. He couldn't pinpoint what it was, but it almost felt like family. He wanted to approach Naruto, but he'd never been the most social to begin with, and he didn't want to while Sakura was right there. Naruto, on the other hand, was just sitting there in suspense. Today would be the day. Today he would show Sasuke and Kakashi his Sharingan. Hee. I can't wait to see the looks on their faces. It'll be priceless. Now, if only Kaka-sensei would actually get here, he thought. And, as if on cue, Kakashi chose that moment to arrive, book in hand. You're late, Sakura shouted, while Sasuke just looked annoyed and Naruto was grinning his mischievous smile. Ma, I got lost on the road of life, Kakashi said in his signature carefree tone. Why's Naruto grinning like that again? He wondered, but decided to ignore it and start the test. Alright, well today we'll find out if you're really going to become Genin, or if you'll be sent back to the academy, he told them as he pulled out an alarm clock and 2 bells. You have 3 hours to take these bells from me. Anyone who doesn't get a bell is going to be sent back to the academy. What? Naruto shouted. That means only 2 of us can pass? All 3 of the prospective Genin looked shocked. None of them wanted to go back to the academy. Exactly. Your 3 hours start now. Kakashi put the alarm clock down and started the timer. I suggest you hide, he told them and disappeared from sight. Sasuke and Sakura quickly ran to the trees, but Naruto just looked around for Kakashi. He giggled. Spotting Kakashi standing under a tree reading a book, Naruto walked over to him and stood right in front of him. Not a very bright one, are you? Kakashi asked. Damn, I expected more from my sensei's son and our resident prankster. He can sneak around and paint the Hokage's stone faces, but can't sneak enough to take a bell. Naruto raised his hands to a familiar sign and shouted, Shadow Clone Jutsu. At that moment, a dozen Narutos popped up around him. Charge! He commanded his clones even if he didn't actually need to. Shadow clones? Not exactly normal for a new Genin, Kakashi casually said, taking down clone after clone without even looking up from his book. Oh, I'm just full of surprises. You'll have to put down the book if you want to keep those bells, Naruto shouted, and took advantage of the smoke from his dispelled clones to activate his Sharingan. His blue eyes turned blood red, and 2 tomo formed in each eye. Kakashi still hadn't looked up from his book, and didn't notice the change until there was a fist inches from his face. What the dash? Kakashi started, and caught a glimpse of red eyes. He couldn't see the tomo before he used a substitution jutsu and replaced himself with a log. Red eyes? Is it the Kyuubi? He wondered. He wasn't an experienced sensor, but anyone would have been able to feel it if it was the Kyuubi's power. No, it's not that. I'll have to take a closer look next time. Naruto took Kakashi's short moment of distraction to close the distance created between them, Sharingan blazing. Man, I wish I could see the look on his face through his mask. He giggled, and threw another punch at Kakashi, Sharingan staring directly into Kakashi's uncovered eye. As Kakashi blocked his punch, he made sure to look at Naruto's eyes, and what he saw surprised him. The Sharingan? He thought, shocked still. He has the Sharingan. How is that possible? Naruto, while his Sharingan saved the look of Kakashi's widened eye, took the chance and punched Kakashi right in the face. It didn't do much damage, he was just a Genin fighting a Jonin after all, but it gave him a chance. With his perception enhanced, he twisted his body to try and grab a bell from Kakashi. However, the sound of his finger against a bell knocked Kakashi out of his shock, and he substituted away, leaving Naruto to crash into a log. Ah man, he said, deactivating his Sharingan and rubbing his head. Well, if shocking him still didn't work, may as well move on to plan B. He thought out loud, thinking back to where he saw Sasuke and Sakura run off to. Well, Sasuke first, he thought, and ran off to where he remembered Sasuke going. With Sasuke. The hell? He thought, watching Naruto actually land a hit on Kakashi, a Jonin from his spot in a tree. He actually landed a hit? The dead last landed a hit on a Jonin? What was it that shocked him so much? He thought, and then noticed Naruto running his direction. He saw Naruto create a shadow clone, and watched as the shadow clone boosted Naruto up to the branch next to the one Sasuke was on. Hey Sasuke, I think we need to work together with Sakura if we want to get those bells, Naruto told him, while Sasuke just stared at him with a mix of wonder and confusion. If it comes down to which of us will fail, I'll take the fall, you know? You and Sakura can become genin, I'll just catch up next time. Sasuke considered it for a second, then decided why not. Sure, but on one condition. Tell me what the hell you did to surprise Kakashi and land a blow on him, Sasuke demanded as he stared at him. Oh sure, Naruto exclaimed and started smiling with his mischievous grin. Hee hee, this is gonna be priceless, he thought and closed his eyes and activated his Sharingan. See, the other day I found out I'm an Uchiha. Like you. Sure you are Naruto. Now tell me the truth, or I won't work. Sasuke started, but cut himself off when Naruto opened his eyes, revealing his two Tomo Sharingan. What the hell? He shouted, eyes bulging and mouth agape as he fell off the tree. Naruto, already rewatching it through his Sharingan, busted out laughing until he couldn't stand anymore and fell off the tree with Sasuke. Aha! Priceless, he said, ignoring the fact that he just fell from the tree as he rolled around laughing on the ground. Sasuke just sat there, staring at the boy who was, apparently, the only other loyal member of his clan. Kakashi just watched from a distance, still in disbelief, and they all just sat there for a minute. Naruto's laughter filling the forest, until Sakura found Naruto and Sasuke. With Sakura. Sakura was watching, also in disbelief, as Naruto landed a hit on the Jonin. She couldn't believe it. Naruto, the dead last, and he hit Kakashi-sensei? How? She thought, sitting on a branch and watching the exchange. Then she watched as Naruto ran off to where Sasuke was hiding, wondering what he was doing. Nearly 30 seconds later, she heard two bodies crash to the ground, and the sound of laughter filling the air. What's that idiot doing? She wondered, and got down from her tree. She snuck through the forest, trying to avoid Kakashi, unaware that she had nothing to worry about because he was just watching Naruto, wide-eyed and in disbelief. When she came across the two boys, she had to fight the urge to yell and punch Naruto, who was just rolling around and laughing while Sasuke stared at him wide-eyed. What are you two doing? She hissed at them, knocking Sasuke out of his shock and causing Naruto to stop laughing, though there were still tears on his face from all of the laughter. Then she saw them, his eyes, though she didn't know what she was looking at. What's up with your eyes, Naruto? Why are they red? Are you hurt? She knew what the Sharingan was, of course, but she was far enough away that she couldn't see the Tomo in them. Naruto and Sasuke barely noticed her after she knocked them out of their states of laughter and shock. Sasuke was just staring at Naruto, his face full of emotions he didn't even realize he had, until, eventually, he shouted, "How do you have Sharingan? Did you say you were an Uchiha?" Naruto stared at him, saving every moment of his hilarious reaction into his Sharingan, fighting off even more laughter. Hee hee, I told you I was, he said, finally deactivating his Sharingan, his eyes turning back to their normal, piercing blue. Something happened a few days ago, he started, deciding to explain as much as he could to Sasuke. I activated my Sharingan after finding out something world-shattering, when I failed the Genin exams again. The old man, Lord Third, tested my blood, and apparently my father was an Uchiha and didn't even know. Apparently he was a war orphan, and they never realized he was an Uchiha because he looked nothing like one. We don't think he even knew himself, Naruto explained to Sasuke, and stood up, offering a hand to help Sasuke up. But you know what this means, right? We're family, you know? Sasuke just looked up at Naruto's extended hand, everything Naruto said running through his mind. I still have family outside of that man. I'm not alone. Sasuke wondered, and eventually decided to grab Naruto's hand. Right? Family. He managed out, and Naruto pulled him to his feet. Sakura just stood there, watching the exchange with her mouth agape. Naruto's an Uchiha? She wondered out loud, drawing Naruto and Sasuke's attention. "Oh, hey Sakura. I forgot you were there. But yeah, I'm thinking about asking the old man to change my name to Uchiha. That way Sasuke doesn't have to be alone. Or would Uzumaki Uchiha be better?" Naruto asked and then remembered what they were there for. "Oh yeah, we need to finish this test. If we work together, we might be able to get the bells," he told her. Sasuke just stared at him before agreeing. "Yeah, Naruto's right. We need to get the bells, and that'll only work if we work together," he told Sakura, snapping her out of her shock. "But there are only 2 bells," she exclaimed. Naruto just sighed in response. "Don't worry, Sakura. If we get both of the bells, I'll let you 2 have them. I'm sure I could find some other way to become a genin, if I really need to," he told her. "But I'm willing to bet that, if we work together well enough, he'll have to accept us. You know?" The other 2 nodded their agreement, and the 3 of them started to work on a plan together. 10 minutes later, Kakashi was leaning against a tree in the middle of the clearing, pretending to read a book while watching the 3 of them plan, thinking over everything he'd learned. "So, Sensei was an Uchiha? Never heard of an Uchiha with blonde hair and blue eyes. But Minato-sensei was always one of a kind. To think that his son would awaken the Sharingan." He thought and noticed that they'd finally began to move. He watched them disappear into the trees, and then the 3 of them charged at him. 10 minutes of planning, and this was the best you could come up with? He asked, faking disappointment. This is obviously a feint of some kind, but how? He wondered, then noticed something off about the 3 of them. They all had Sharingan, even Sakura. "Oh, I see. They're trying to throw me off by sending 3 of Naruto's shadow clones, all with activated Sharingan," he thought, and quickly dispatched the clone of Naruto and the one transformed into Sasuke. However, at the last second, the one transformed into Sakura dodged and made another swipe at the bell. He backhanded the fake Sakura, stopping them from getting a bell, and expecting her to dispel, and was surprised when she didn't. While this was going on, the real Sasuke and Sakura were hidden in the trees, waiting for a signal. When they saw Sakura get backhanded, they charged. Transforming into 2 Narutos, they charged at Kakashi. More clones, Kakashi thought before looking closer. No, the Sakura I just hit must be Naruto. Which means those 2 are the real Sasuke and Sakura. But which is dash his thoughts were cut off when one of them started to form hand signs. Wait, I recognize dash. All 3 genin deactivated their transformations as Sasuke finished his hand signs. Naruto, watching Sasuke with his Sharingan, began to make the same hand signs. Once Naruto finished making the hand signs, he and Sasuke shouted, "Fire release!" Great fireball jutsu, and released 2 balls of fire at both sides of Kakashi. Sasuke's was twice as large as Naruto's, since he trained to master the jutsu, but either one of those fireballs could have done damage to Kakashi, assuming they hit. Impressive, Kakashi thought, dodging the dual fireballs. They took advantage of the Sharingan's ability to copy techniques, but why would Sakura rush with them? He wondered, but his question was answered when he realized where he dodged to, and he had to avoid Sakura taking the bells. So, they figured I'd forget about Sakura when dodging their fireballs. Not bad. At that moment, when they were preparing to attack again, the timer ran out. "Damn it, we were so close," was heard around the training field, and silence followed those words from Naruto. Ma Naruto, there's no such thing as so close in the field. You either succeed or you fail," Kakashi told them, watching the faces of the 3 genin fall before he continued. "And you, my cute little genin, succeeded," he exclaimed, his voice slightly raised but still carrying that carefree tone. "What?" Naruto and Sakura shouted together, while Sasuke just looked on with barely masked surprise. "That's right, my cute little genin. Now I've got to go report this to Lord Third. Meet me here, tomorrow at 11, for our first mission as Team 7, Kakashi told them, and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Earlier, in the Hokage's office. "Ahahaha, Hiruzen Sarutobi. the god of shinobi, was crying from tears in his desk chair. He could be seen watching his crystal ball, and it showed a shocked Kakashi Hatake. "Oh, how I wish I could save images in my crystal ball," he exclaimed, watching Naruto show his Sharingan to Kakashi, and then to Sasuke. "So this is why he asked me not to tell anyone about his Sharingan," he managed out, still laughing at the scene. He then looked to the picture of the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, hung on his wall. "Oh, Minato, your boy is hilarious," he said to the picture, and began to wipe off the tears from his laughter. Hokage's office, now. Hiruzen stood before the Jonin he assigned teams to, currently getting a report from his son, Asuma Sarutobi. Team 10, comprised of Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, and Choji Akimichi, has passed. Asuma reported to his father, though it wasn't a surprise. This generation's Ino Shikicho trio, like every year, already knew each other and knew how to work together, even if it was reluctantly on Ino's part. "Good now, unless we have any last-minute dash," Hiruzen started, but was interrupted by a knock on the door. "Enter." In came Kakashi Hatake, the eternally late Jonin who'd never passed a team. "Ah, Kakashi, do you have a report on your team?" Hiruzen asked, showing a knowing smile. Kakashi walked up to the desk, stood at attention, and reported. Team 7, comprised of Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Dash, he started, and shot Hiruzen a questioning glance, to which he was given a nod of approval. "Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha has passed," he finished. His report was met with stunned silence, before murmuring broke out among the Jonin present. Did he say passed? Uzumaki Uchiha. Did he just call the Naruto and Uchiha? Silence, Hiruzen called out. His voice wasn't raised, but it held a tone of authority. "Now, Kakashi, is there anything else you have to report?" "Yes, Lord Third. It appears that Naruto has awakened the Sharingan, with 2 tomo in each eye. He successfully convinced both Sakura and Sasuke to work with him, as well." Kakashi finished, and stepped back to the other Jonin. Another stunned silence followed this, with everyone eyeing Kakashi. "All right then, if that is all, Teams 7, 8, and 10 have passed and will be made official genin of the village. You are all dismissed," Hiruzen told them, and the Jonin began to file out of the room, until it was just Kakashi and Hiruzen. "You knew, didn't you, Lord Third?" It was less of a question and more of a statement. "You knew about his Sharingan." Hiruzen let out a laugh, before nodding. "Yes, I knew. He also knows about his parents, and that you were his father's student. There was an incident a few days ago, involving a former instructor at the academy who tricked him and then told him about the Kyuubi. The shock was, apparently, enough to awaken the Sharingan. I realized I'd have to test his blood, along with his parents, to confirm the relation to the Uchiha. As it turns out, Minato was one as well. He asked me to keep it a secret, as he obviously wanted to see your reactions for himself." He laughed out the last part, and Kakashi just shook his head. "And now he can rewatch it whenever he wants, thanks to his Sharingan," Kakashi muttered, before waving and walking out of the room. "Well, I'm sure there are more people who want to ask me about this. By Lord Third," Kakashi said, and walked out of the room. Immediately, he was met by Kurenai Yuhi and Asuma Sarutobi, both looking at him with shocked expressions. Kakashi just continued walking, and waved for them to follow him. Ma, ask away. Naruto's really an Uchiha? And he has the Sharingan?" Asuma asked, wide-eyed. Yeah. Ask your father, he's the one who confirmed it. Didn't even tell me. It shocked me so much when I saw it that he landed a hit on me and nearly took one of the bells. He also knows how to make shadow clones. Can you believe it? He's got some massive chakra on top of his Sharingan. The 3 Jonin continued talking, eventually moving on from just Naruto to talking about each of their students. However, Naruto's name was still the one that popped up the most in the conversation. Ichiraku Ramen. The 3 new Genin, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, were all sitting and eating ramen as celebration for passing the test. Sasuke was originally reluctant, but he wanted to talk with Naruto as soon as possible, and was just waiting for Sakura to leave. Sasuke was on his second bowl, while Sakura was on her first and Naruto was on his fifth. "Geez, Naruto, how do you eat that much?" Sakura asked, staring at her one bowl and then at his five. "It's ramen, the food of the gods. Kami's gift to mankind," Naruto exclaimed as he inhaled his fifth bowl. Sasuke just stared at him, still in disbelief that Naruto's an Uchiha. "I can't believe we're related," Sasuke muttered, causing Tuchi and Ayam to stop what they were doing and stare in disbelief. "Related?" Tuchi asked, while Ayam just stared. "Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot to tell you guys. I'm an Uchiha," he exclaimed and activated his Sharingan as a show of proof. Tuchi just dropped the bowl of ramen he was bringing to Naruto, but Naruto was able to safely catch it with the enhanced perception of the Sharingan. "Oh yeah, I can save ramen with these eyes." Sasuke just rolled his eyes at that, half amused and half annoyed. He muttered, "To think the legendary dojutsu of my clan would be used to save ramen." While Naruto finished his sixth bowl, and Sasuke finished his second bowl, Sakura finally finished her first bowl and got up. "Well, I've got to go home and tell my parents I passed," she told them, leaving money for her bowl and began to walk away. "I'll see you two Uchiha tomorrow for our first mission." As Sakura walked away, Naruto pulled out his froggy wallet and began to pull out money, but was stopped by Sasuke. He shot a confused glance at Sasuke, who just responded with, "Let me pay." "Hey, I couldn't ask you to do that. I ate most the food, you know," Naruto told him, still confused. "We're family now, right? Plus, I have the entire fortune of the Uchiha. Since you're an Uchiha too, you may as well use it." Sasuke pulled out his own wallet and put the food for their meal on the table. "Let's go, I want to talk to you," he said and walked out of the booth. "Oh well, thanks for the food." Naruto hastily bowed and followed Sasuke out of the booth. Sasuke began to walk away and motioned for Naruto to follow him. "So, where are we going?" he asked as they walked. "The Uchiha compound," Sasuke stated. "Huh? Why? Isn't that place full of bad memories?" "It is, but it's important to our clan." After a few minutes, they reached the gate to the compound. Naruto was silent for once. He'd known about the Uchiha massacre before, but he researched it even more after finding out he was one. He read about how Itachi Uchiha, prodigy of the clan and Sasuke's older brother, slaughtered everyone, except for Sasuke. Sasuke led Naruto to his old home, the one he hadn't set foot in since that night. He was grateful for Naruto's silence. As much as he needed to talk about it, he needed it to be on his terms. He needed to start the conversation. Eventually, they reached it, but he didn't open the door. He couldn't open the door. "Naruto," Sasuke started, grabbing Naruto's attention. "This is where I found them. Where I found my parents, with that man standing over them, sword drawn." Naruto just stared at him, unsure what to say, and unsure why he was telling him this. He was speechless, which allowed Sasuke to continue. "It's been hard. I thought I was the last of my clan. Aside from him, I felt alone. I always felt some kind of connection to you, or I have since that night, but I always thought it was because you were alone like I was." Sasuke continued, fighting tears, as he remembered the night it all happened. To find out that I'm really not the last." Sasuke trailed off, still fighting back tears. Naruto just walked up to him and put his hand on his shoulder. "Sasuke, I felt a connection to you too, but I never really. I didn't understand what you were going through. I was always alone. I didn't know what it felt like to lose someone. You've been dealing with this sadness, this anger all alone for all these years, all because of your own brother." Naruto nearly spat out the last words, and his Sharingan activated because of the emotions he was feeling. "If you don't want to be here," he started, letting his Sharingan calm down and deactivate. "We can leave. We could talk at my apartment or at Dash." No! Sasuke cut him off, wiping the escaped tears from his eyes. I need to face this. I just never wanted to do it alone. Can you just be here while I face this, Naruto? Naruto nodded, and Sasuke went to slide open the doors to the room he saw Itachi in. It had been cleaned after the massacre, but it was filled with dust. No one had been here in years. When he looked where he saw Itachi and the bodies of his parents, he could almost see the scene. The scene that had been burned into his memory and then replayed over and over in his brother's Tsukuyomi. That was when he remembered the feeling, the burning sensation in his eyes, the one he'd forgotten when he tried to forget about that night. That's when it hit him again, when the burning sensation returned. Why do my eyes feel like this? Sasuke wondered out loud, as he shut his eyes and grabbed them. After a few seconds, he felt the burning sensation recede, and he opened his eyes. Everything looked clearer than ever before. What's wrong, Sasuke? Naruto asked, concern evident in his voice. Then, when Sasuke turned around, he saw it. Blood-red eyes with 2 tomo each. You awakened your Sharingan, you know? Naruto exclaimed and activated his own. It's 2 tomo just like mine. When Sasuke heard that, he ran to where he remembered his bathroom being and looked at his reflection in the mirror. 2 Sharingans stared back at him, and 4 stared back when Naruto showed up behind him. Despite where he was, Sasuke felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. He felt joy. He looked at Naruto, Sharingan staring at Sharingan, and smiled a genuine smile. Not as bright as Naruto's, but a smile nonetheless. Let's get out of here, Naruto, he said, and his smile changed to a smirk. We've got to get you some clothes worthy of an Uchiha. With that, Naruto's smile dropped and he stared down at his orange jumpsuit. But I love orange. Too bad. No clan member of mine is going to wear a bright orange jumpsuit, and we need to get you an Uchiha fan symbol on your back. With that, he grabbed Naruto's collar and pulled him to the nearest tailor. As much as Naruto wanted to protest, he didn't. He was just happy to have a family, even if it meant wearing dark clothes with a high collar. /N. Alright, so that finishes the second chapter. I actually really like Sasuke, unlike a lot of people I've seen, so I didn't want to make him gore. No one can have power if I can't have it. I'll admit that he did become like that eventually, especially after meeting Itachi, but he didn't start off like that. He was reluctantly accepting Naruto as a friend, so finding out he's family, it seemed like a good way to save him from the darkness early on. He's not going to be completely free of it, but he'll have Naruto to help him throughout all of his issues. I wanted to give him the Sharingan so he and Naruto could be equals. Naruto has more chakra, Sasuke has more talent, and the Sharingan equalizes them. I want to give them a brotherly relationship, even if they're only like distantly cousins. I know not every member of a clan are actually related by blood, but it seems fair to consider a clan member as family if you're one of 3 left, that they know of at least. As far as giving him the Sharingan, I thought it made sense. He awakened it the night of the massacre, but he never realized. I assume it's because he never actually let himself face the emotions that awakened it. With this, he's faced the emotions, reawakening his Sharingan and elevating it to the second stage. For clothes, I'm thinking of giving Naruto something similar to what Obito wore, for a number of reasons. 1, because he's compared to Obito all the time, and since I'm eventually giving him Kamui anyways, it makes sense. 2, because Obito's got probably the only Uchiha clothes he'd actually wear. 3, it'll be fun to write Kakashi reacting to that. No goggles, though. I'm thinking about having his clothes be Obito's, but Sasuke makes him replace the blue with black, keeping the orange, but it's minimal and his clothing is more dark to fit with the whole Uchiha style. And, since Naruto doesn't know the swirl logo is actually the Uzumaki symbol, he'll wear the Uchiha symbol with Sasuke. Though I may add the swirl to his shoulders like the Jonin outfit when / if he actually dives into the other half of his heritage. I'm thinking about having Sakura train with Kurenai. Kakashi's going to have his hands full with not just 1, but 2 Sharingan users on his team. That way, she can learn good skills and not just be deadweight until Tsunade shows up. And, Since Genjutsu would be less useful on a team of 3 Sharingan users, she'd still have motivation to train with Tsunade when given the chance. She can be a skilled kunoichi, but still feel useless enough to ask Tsunade for training. I don't want her to be useless, but she's best under Tsunade, and she went to Tsunade because he felt useless. Team 7, consisting of Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno were arriving at Training Ground 7, where their Jonin sensei told them to meet for their first mission. "He's not here yet, is he?" Naruto asked, though he knew the answer. "No, and he probably won't be here for another few hours," Sakura groaned. And then she noticed Naruto's change in clothes. He switched out the bright orange jumpsuit for a black pair of pants, with bandages holding his kunai holster, and bandages wrapped around the bottom of his legs. He wore a dark blue shirt with it, tucked into his belt, and a black jacket with orange linings over the dark blue shirt, /N. Basically just Kid Obito's outfit, but the jacket and pants are black instead of blue, and he's not wearing goggles. "Nice outfit. Get tired of the blinding orange jumpsuit?" she asked him and noticed Sasuke smirk. Sasuke turned to Naruto, still smirking, and told him, "Told you it was better, idiot." "Hey, I liked the orange jumpsuit. It was nice and easy." Naruto snapped back. "Sasuke made me get rid of it. He told me no Uchiha would be caught dead wearing that. He took me to a tailor. At first he tried to give me some of his emo clothes." Naruto started and stuck his tongue out at Sasuke. "Eventually, we found this. I decided it was a good compromise between what he thought an Uchiha should wear and what I wanted to wear. Though," he turned around and pointed at an Uchiwa on his back, "I like wearing the symbol of my clan, and it's so hilarious whenever I see someone on the street do a double take." He laughed. "Well, it's definitely an improvement," Sasuke sighed. "If we dyed your hair, then people might believe you were an Uchiha, without you having to activate your Sharingan." Naruto shrugged. "It's funny to see their reaction every time I do activate it. Don't act like you haven't saved a few of their reactions with your new Sharingan." Sasuke just made a barely audible HN sound as a response. "Wait, Sasuke, you activated your Sharingan?" Sakura asked, eyes wide. "Yeah, he activated it last night," Naruto told her, and stopped her before she could speak again. "Don't ask how. Sharingan usually don't activate from positive emotions, and I don't think he wants to think about it anymore." "Oh," Sakura trailed off. "Well, now half our team has Sharingan, maybe I'm next," she joked, trying to lighten the mood. "Actually, Kaka-sensei has one too, so it's more like 2.5 out of 4, Naruto told her, getting looks of shock from both of his teammates. "Kakashi has a Sharingan?" Sasuke asked, eyes wide. Naruto just stared at him for a few seconds, surprised that he didn't know. "Yeah, you really didn't know? I think it's why he covers his eye all the time. It's implanted, so he can't deactivate it," he explained, and saw Sasuke's eyes flash red. Hey, calm down. It was back during one of the wars, and I doubt the old man would have put him in charge of the 2 last Uchiha if he thought he'd steal an Uchiha's eye, you know?" "Oh," Sasuke said, his eyes deactivating. Sakura just stood there, watching the exchange until it hit her. "I'm the only one on this team without a Sharingan. That's so unfair," she complained, and Naruto just started laughing. "Ah, well, since Kaka-sensei probably isn't going to be here for a few more hours," Naruto said, and turned to Sasuke, "Want to start training our Sharingan?" Sasuke just shook his head, surprising both Naruto and Sakura. "You may be an Uchiha and have a Sharingan, but your taijutsu is still awful. I don't know what they were teaching you, but not even the Sharingan can make up for that mess. I'm gonna take this time to teach you the interceptor style." He motioned for Naruto to follow him to the field. "Since we don't have time to teach you from scratch, activate your Sharingan and watch me." Awful? It was enough to land a hit on Kaka-sensei. "You know?" Naruto groaned, but followed him anyways, activating his Sharingan. "Yeah, because you surprised him." Sasuke slipped into the interceptor style, and Naruto followed along with his Sharingan. 2 hours later. Naruto and Sasuke were panting on the field. Naruto laid out on his back while Sasuke was just barely keeping himself up by putting his hands on his knees. Sakura was watching them from the side, unsure of how she could train with them. That was the scene that Kakashi Hatake saw as he finally arrived, 2 hours after he told them to get there. He body flickered in front of Sasuke, who fell on his back and instinctively activated his Sharingan. He awakened his Sharingan. He thought and looked between his two exhausted students. Not very smart to exhaust yourself before a mission, is it? He told them with an eye smile, and then noticed Naruto's clothes. He muttered Obito, just barely loud enough for Sasuke to hear and raise an eyebrow. We know it won't be anything dangerous, Kaka-sensei. We aren't stupid, you know? Naruto shouted at Kakashi, and Sasuke just made a itchin' sound. Minutes after Naruto and Sasuke started training. Wait, maybe we shouldn't do this, Sasuke. What if we're exhausted when he finally shows up? So he makes us stay in the village instead of doing a cool mission, like saving a princess or Naruto was cut off by a blow to the stomach, and looked up to see Sasuke. Are you stupid, Naruto? No one starts off with big missions. We'll probably just be painting fences or something. But we both have Sharingan, Sasuke. It'd be such a waste if they had the two last Uchiha just painting fences, Naruto whined. And how much more of a waste would it be if they sent out their two last Uchiha and we died on the first mission? Naruto opened his mouth to prepare to respond, but stopped himself because he couldn't think of anything to say. I guess you're right, Naruto conceded, and they went back to training. Back in the present. Sasuke stared at his sensei, putting pieces together in his head. Naruto said he has the Sharingan, and he called Naruto Obito when he saw his new Uchiha outfit. He thought and decided to just be up front and ask, Kakashi? Yeah, Sasuke? Can you show me and Naruto your Sharingan? And can you tell us how you got it? I'm sure you can understand our curiosity, Sasuke asked, using as much politeness as he could manage. Kakashi just stood there for a bit, and Naruto walked over, starting to get his breath back, and sat down by Sasuke. Sakura was watching from the side of the training ground. She was curious, but knew it was more important to Naruto and Sasuke than it was for her. Kakashi looked down at the two Uchiha. Naruto, the spitting image of his dead sensei, wearing the clothes of his dead comrade. Sasuke, who would look so much like his elder brother, Kakashi's failed student, if he had the same stress lines by his eyes. I guess. Kakashi started, his mask of carelessness gone for the moment. He pulled up his forehead protector, revealing his singular 3-tomo Sharingan. I got it on my first mission after I became a Jonin, when I was around your age. This got a look of surprise from the genin, but they stayed quiet. During the war, my team was tasked with infiltrating enemy lines. We ran into some issues along the way, and my teammate Rin Noera was captured. My other teammate, Obito Uchiha, wanted to go and rescue her, but I told him that we needed to complete the mission. We went our separate ways, but the guilt eventually got to me, so I went to help Obito. We were attacked, and he awakened his Sharingan. We managed to save Rin. But the enemy collapsed a cave on top of us. Obito was crushed by a falling boulder. Half his body was destroyed. His final gift to me was this. He pointed at his eye and recovered it with his forehead protector. He gave me his Sharingan because I'd lost my eye earlier in the fight, Kakashi explained, and turned to look at Naruto. Those clothes, they look almost exactly like his, but the black areas were blue. Obito is why I put so much emphasis on teamwork during the test. Obito once told me, those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. He finished and waited for a reaction. Sasuke held a stoic expression, while Naruto looked at Kakashi with compassion in his eyes. The silence held, until it was broken by, to everyone's surprise, Sasuke. Kakashi, sensei, I'm sorry. His voice was shaky, and he was looking down. Kakashi looked at him, confused. Sorry for what, Sasuke? Sasuke looked back up at Kakashi, and then his gaze shifted to Naruto and back to Kakashi. After that man killed my clan. He started before deciding to correct himself. After Itachi killed my clan. I thought I was alone in the darkness. His Sharingan activated when he mentioned Itachi, and he closed his eyes. I didn't think that anyone else could understand Dash. He was cut off when he felt a hand on his shoulder, and looked up to see Kakashi, a knowing look in his one visible eye. It's all right, Sasuke. I know what it's like to feel alone. Just rely on your comrades. And I hope you'll learn your lesson without a comrade dying to get the point through. Kakashi told Sasuke, and then stood up. All right, team. Let's head to the Hokage's office for our first mission. Later, somewhere in the village. Sasuke, I'm at point B. Sakura, I'm at point C. Naruto, I'm at point A. Believe it. Okay. Squad 7, the target has moved. With that, Naruto and Sasuke activated their Sharingan and prepared to capture their target. Team Sharingan is on the move, Naruto shouted, earning a facepalm from Kakashi. But I don't have a Sharingan, Naruto, Sakura shouted back at him. Sasuke grunted, let's just get this damned cat. Naruto and Sasuke jumped at the cat from either side, yet it somehow managed to dodge them, despite their legendary dojutsu. Luckily, when it bolted from them, it ran right into Sakura. Woohoo! Naruto cheered, while Sasuke walked over to the cat, Sharingan still blazing. He had scratches down his arm, thanks to the cat they had been chasing for around 10 minutes. Sakura, Sasuke started, drawing her attention. Point the cat's eyes at me. I'm putting it in a genjutsu for the hell dash. Sasuke, what the hell dash, Sakura started, but was cut off when she saw Naruto's Sharingan blazing too. No, I think I actually agree with SAS dash. Naruto and Sasuke were both cut off when Kakashi showed up and took the cat, Tora, from Sakura. Ma, I don't think the daimyo would be very happy if you tortured his wife's cat, even if you are the last two Uchiha. Come on, Kaka-sensei. I was just gonna scare him with a scary dog or something. He'd be fine, Naruto argued, and they headed back to turn in the cat and get the money for their mission. Mission Assignment Desk. Team 10, consisting of Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi, were walking into the room with their Jonin-sensei, Asuma Sarutobi, trailing behind. Already inside the room was Team 8, consisting of Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Kiba's dog, Akamaru. Their Jonin-sensei, Kurenai Yuhi, immediately walked up to Asuma once he entered the room. Oh, hey guys, Kiba greeted as Team 10 entered the room. Now if Team 7 shows up, our whole graduating class will be here. Oh, I hope Sasuke-Ino started, but everyone's attention was drawn to the entrance. Oh, come on Kaka-sensei, just a little genjutsu. I promise he'll be fine, Naruto argued, still determined to torture the cat. Kakashi just kept walking and handed the cat off to Irika. Naruto, I said no, Kakashi told him, and noticed all eyes in the room on them. Genjutsu, Shikamaru echoed, narrowing his eyes at Naruto. Weren't you absolutely useless in genjutsu at the academy? And what's up with your change in dash? He started, but was cut off by a squealing sound coming from his teammate. Sasuke, Ino shouted, and tried to jump on Sasuke, who just dodged and let her hit the floor. Troublesome, Shikamaru mumbled, before continuing his thoughts. Naruto, what's up with your change in outfit? Did someone finally burn that hideous orange jumpsuit? He asked, and suddenly everyone was focusing on his new clothes. I think it looks nice. Hinata stuttered, and became red as a tomato when Naruto grinned at her. Thanks, Hinata. Sasuke made me dash, Naruto began to explain, but was interrupted by Ino getting off the floor behind them and noticing the Uchiha symbol on his back. The hell? Why do you have Sasuke's symbol on your back? Ino screeched, staring at the back of his new outfit. Naruto just turned his head, activating his Sharingan once it was out of view of the others so he could save the look of shock on her face, stunning her into silence. Ino just stared at him, mouth agape and eyes wide. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and turned to face the others. Like I was saying, Sasuke made me get a new outfit when he found out I'm an Uchiha like him. He told them, just getting looks of disbelief from everyone, while Sasuke smirked from the side. PFFT, as if the dead last could be an Uchiha. Kiba shouted, and Naruto just gave his trademark mischievous grin, while Sasuke continued smirking at the situation. Naruto turned around and pointed his thumbs at the symbol on his back. Shikamaru, noticing Sasuke's smirk and silence, narrowed his eyes even more. Wouldn't Sasuke be yelling at him if he was lying? Could Naruto actually be an Uchiha? Shikamaru thought, then looked to Ino. Just the Uchiha wouldn't be enough to stun her into silence. What did he show her when he turned around? This was the moment that Naruto decided to show them his Sharingan. I'm an Uchiha. Believe it, he shouted and activated his Sharingan. The others stared at him, completely caught off guard, as his eyes turned red and two tomo spun into existence around his pupils. Sasuke decided to activate his Sharingan at the same time, and both the Uchiha saved their reactions with their Sharingan. Even Asuma and Kurenai, who Kakashi had already told, were shocked to see the blonde with Sharingan, and Kakashi quickly removed his headband to save their reactions, before replacing his headband to save chakra. Hinata, Kiba, and Choji stared at his Sharingan, shock evident on their faces. Shikamaru had begun to figure it out, but was still shocked to have his theory confirmed. Shino's shock was covered by his glasses and high collar, but even he had an air of shock surrounding him. Those who knew, Sakura, Iruka, Hiruzen, Kakashi, and Sasuke, just smirked at the reaction, while Naruto busted out laughing. When Naruto's laughter finally faded, silence filled the room, until Akamaru barked and knocked them out of their silence. "You have the Sharingan?" Kiba shouted, followed by Shikamaru muttering something that sounded like, "troublesome." Hinata stared at Naruto, deactivated Byakugan staring into Sharingan, her blush from earlier being replaced by the shock of the situation. "Are we absolutely sure he isn't just pranking us with contacts?" Kiba asked. "Because we all know how much he loves to prank people." Shikamaru shook his head. "We saw him activate it. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a pair of contacts that could activate and deactivate." Kiba just kept staring at Naruto. Maybe it's a genjutsu? Maybe he learned them somehow? Or maybe he convinced Sasuke to dash? Shikamaru just shook his head again. "Do you really think Sasuke would go along with something like this? If you really want confirmation, just ask Hinata to confirm it with her Byakugan." Shikamaru told him, and Kiba turned to face Hinata with a questioning look. "Hinata, please," he asked, and Akamaru barked his agreement. Naruto just kept watching the scene, Sharingan memorizing the reactions, with a goofy grin on his face. Hinata blushed with the attention focused on her, and raised her hands, and went through the necessary hand seals for the Byakugan. "All right, Byakugan." Her pupils became defined, and the veins around her eyes bulged out. With the Byakugan, she could see nearly 360 around her and could see the chakra and chakra points in people's bodies. When she focused on Naruto, she could see the chakra focused in his eyes, and the chakra in Sasuke's eye. It's real. Sasuke has it too." She stuttered, and then noticed the chakra around Kakashi's covered eye. "And so does Kakashi-sensei?" "Really?" Kiba shouted. "Does everyone on their team have the Sharingan? That's so unfair." Ma, I only have one," Kakashi told Kiba, and quickly raised his headband to show his Sharingan, before lowering it again. "And it's not as good as theirs will be." "Yeah, and I don't have a Sharingan at all," Sakura told them, a hint of annoyance in her voice. "It's all right, Sakura. You're smarter than I am, so it balances out." Naruto grinned at her, attempting to reassure her. "Anyways, We want another mission, old man, he shouted, turning to Hiruzen. Naruto, Sakura shouted, and ran to punch him in the head, but he dodged her because his Sharingan was still activated. Be respectful. He's the Hokage. Ah, there's the usual Sakura. Naruto grinned. You haven't even tried to hit me since I told you guys about my Sharingan. I thought something was wrong, he said, still grinning while scratching the back of his head. Kurenai took that moment to clear her throat, catching the attention of the genin. Well, my team needs to go. Come on, teammate. I'm sure you'll all see each other again soon. Bye Kiba. Bye Shino. Bye Hinata. Naruto told the leaving team, earning a wave from Shino, a blush from Hinata, and a grin from Kiba. Bye Naruto. Hinata stuttered out. Bye Naruto. Don't think that you're better than me just because of your fancy new eyes. Kiba shouted, and Team 8 left the room. After Team 8 left, Shikamaru walked up to Naruto and looked at his Sharingan. Doesn't that use a bunch of chakra? Should you really be keeping it on for no reason? He asked Naruto and looked over to Sasuke, who had deactivated his Sharingan. Naruto just looked at him confused, and then over at Sasuke. Does it? He asked, looking at Sasuke. I haven't noticed any drain on my chakra when I've been using it. I could keep it on all the time if I wanted to. I just don't feel like memorizing every detail of my day. Sasuke shrugged in response, before reactivating his own Sharingan. Not really. I only feel a minor amount of chakra being used when I use my Sharingan. From what I can tell, I have pretty above average chakra reserves, at least for my age, but... He trailed off, looking at Naruto. Your chakra reserves are massive. I doubt you'd notice the drain. He finished before deactivating his Sharingan. Naruto looked down at himself, looking at his own chakra, and then looked at the chakra of the others in the room before deactivating his Sharingan. I guess I do, he said, scratching the back of his head. Oh, hey, Kakashi. Yes, Naruto? Kakashi asked, turning away from his conversation with Asuma. Does your Sharingan use more chakra because you aren't an Uchiha? I noticed that there's more chakra concentrated in your eye than there is in my eyes or Sasuke's eyes. Yeah, like I said before, you and Sasuke will have better Sharingan than I once they're fully developed. Based on what I've read, something in your Uchiha brains connects to your eyes, and you can either channel chakra to your eyes or cut it off. I don't have that, so mine is constantly draining chakra that I can't cut off. Basically, mine wastes chakra, Kakashi explained, and turned back to Asuma. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hey, Sasuke, do you know what would happen if we channeled more chakra into our eyes? He asked, his attention shifted back to Sasuke. Nothing would happen, you have to unlock the next stage. You can't force it, idiot. I really need to show you the Uchiha library. Sasuke deadpanned at Naruto, which Naruto just responded to with more scratching of the back of his head. But I don't want to read. It's so boring, Naruto complained, and Sasuke rolled his eyes. You do realize you can read way faster with your Sharingan, right? And everything gets memorized. I never thought of that. Anyways, let's get another mission, Naruto said, attempting to shift the conversation. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, and then looked at his two teammates, still staring at Naruto in shock. Ino, Choji, let's get out of here before they drop some new bombshell and your eyes completely pop out of your heads. Shikamaru grumbled, before starting to walk out, followed by his two still shocked teammates after a few seconds. Well, Asuma, you should follow your team. My cute little genins still want to do another mission. Kakashi walked away from Asuma and up to the mission desk. If your team is done for the day, you could probably still catch up to your girlfriend. Kakashi gave one of his signature eye smiles at the end, directed back at Asuma. Yeah, I should probably dash, Asuma started, before registering Kakashi's remark at the end. Wait, girlfriend? Asuma asked, and glared at Kakashi, who just turned back to the desk and waved Asuma away. As Asuma left, Kakashi said, yeah, you guys don't exactly make it subtle. Right before the door shut behind Asuma, Kakashi turned his attention back to his genin and saw Naruto looking expectantly up at him. "What mission are we going to do now, Kaka-sensei?" Naruto asked. "Something better than catching a cat, right?" How about this? Something that'll put those Sharingan to work," Kakashi said, and held up a scroll for Hiruzen to read. "What do you think, Lord Hokage?" Hiruzen looked over the scroll and smiled. "Oh yes, I think that'd be perfect for our two young Uchiha." Naruto's eyes lit up in anticipation. "What is it, old man? It's gotta be amazing to require the Sharingan, right?" he asked, excitement filling his voice. Sasuke, however, could see the look in the Hokage's eyes and knew it'd be nothing fun. Sakura just looked between Naruto and Sasuke, secretly jealous about the eyes of her teammates. Kakashi held up the mission scroll for his team to read and once again showed his signature "I smile." He watched as the three of them read the scroll and watched as Naruto's face fell and Sasuke's became one of annoyance. "Map making?" Naruto whined. "You asked for something that'd put those Sharingan to work, right? Well, what better than a Sharingan to copy maps?" Kakashi told him, and Sasuke glared at Kakashi. "Sakura can help with sorting the maps, while you two little Uchiha copy as many maps as necessary," he said and turned back to Hiruzen. "We accept this assignment, Lord Hokage." With that, Kakashi left the room, and the two Uchiha glared at him. Sakura was just smirking. "Your Sharingan aren't so great now, are they? Your hands are gonna be so sore when all this is over," she snarked at them, before realizing it was aimed at Sasuke too. "Wait, not you, Sasuke. Your Sharingan is still dash." She started to backtrack, but Sasuke was already walking away. Naruto and Sakura followed behind them, and they all headed to their next D rank. 2 hours later, Ichiraku Ramen. "Ah man, my hand hurts like hell." Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were getting dinner after finally finishing their D rank assignment. Naruto was shaking his right hand, trying to get the aching to stop. Sasuke was rubbing his eyes, which were hurting after using his Sharingan for so long. He had larger than average chakra reserves, but he still wasn't used to keeping his Sharingan active for so long. Naruto, thanks to his massive chakra reserves and enhanced recovery abilities, was able to adapt much quicker than Sasuke was, but his hand was still tired from all the writing. Sakura was lucky. She'd gotten the easy part of their assignment. All she had to do was hand them the maps to copy and sort the maps once they were done. "Maybe it'd stop hurting if you stopped shaking it, idiot," Sasuke said, staring at Naruto between eye rubs. "Well, maybe your eyes would stop hurting if you stopped rubbing them," Naruto snapped back at him. Sakura watched the two of them and sighed. "Naruto, just let your hand rest. Sasuke, you need to use some eye drops," she told them. "How can the last two Uchiha be so bad at dealing with soreness?" she asked, and began digging in her pouch, before pulling out eye drops and handing them to Sasuke. "Here, they mentioned something about this in the academy when going over dojutsu, and I figured eye drops might be necessary on a team with two Uchiha." Sasuke took the eye drops from her, dripped them into both of his eyes, and blinked a few times. "Thanks, Sakura," he told her, which was met with a blush. "Cha, take that, I know pig," inner Sakura screamed, and Sakura turned away to hide her blush. "You're welcome, Sasuke," Sakura said, and turned back around once she felt her blush recede. Naruto, who was letting his right hand rest, was digging into his ramen with his left hand. You'd expect it to slow him down somewhat, but he was already on his third bowl. Ramen, Kami's gift to mankind," he exclaimed, his mouth still full of ramen. "I love dash." He was cut off by a hand to the back of his head and turned to look at Sasuke. "Hey, what the hell?" Sasuke just grunted. "Don't talk with your mouth full, idiot. It's unbecoming of an Uchiha." Yeah. Don't act like I didn't see you do the exact same thing with tomatoes yesterday. Seriously, what's up with that? Tomatoes? Naruto asked him, making an exaggerated face of disgust. Sasuke glared at him. "I like tomatoes. Have you ever even tried one? All I see you eat is ramen, at least tomatoes are healthy. Well, no, but they're plants. How could that be tasty? Sakura was just watching the back and forth between the two Uchiha before realizing what Naruto just said. Wait, you've never had a tomato because it's a plant? Do you eat anything healthy? She asked him with actual concern on her face. Naruto just thought for a moment, way longer than anyone should think about whether or not they eat healthy, and started counting stuff off on his fingers. Well, there's some healthy types of ramen, and I eat apples sometimes. Sometimes the old man will force me to eat somewhere other than here, but he hasn't been taking me out to eat as much lately. There's also, he trailed off, coming up blank, earning even more concern from Sakura. What the hell, Naruto? Did anyone teach you to dash? Sakura started to ask him, before remembering that he grew up alone. She saw his face drop a bit, before he started smiling like he usually did. She didn't realize it before now, but this smile looked less real than the one she saw when he was actually happy. I'm sorry, Naruto. I didn't think dash. It's fine, Sakura, he told her, cutting her off and slurping down his bowl. I'm done, he said, and pulled out his frog wallet and put money on the table before Sasuke could stop him again. I'll see you guys tomorrow. He waved at them and walked out of the booth. Naruto, Sakura started, and stared at where he left, her face full of guilt. She turned back to where Sasuke was sitting when she heard him put money on the table and get up to leave. Don't worry about it, Sakura. I'll go talk to him. I've been meaning to ask him about something anyways. Okay, Sasuke. Sakura watched him exit after Naruto and pulled out her money to pay for her meal. Naruto was walking down the street, heading back home. It had been a bit since the incident with Mizuki, and he'd started getting closer to Sasuke after he told Sasuke he was an Uchiha. But it still hurt to think about how lonely he was growing up. He understood why people treated him the way they did. He'd probably be scared of someone with a demon in their gut too. But it didn't make it hurt much less. He'd noticed how people started treating him differently when he started wearing Uchiha clothes, or when he was walking around with Sasuke, but he could still feel the glares. His only consolation was the knowledge that his father, the Yondaime Hokage, thought he could handle the Kyuubi. He still hadn't told his teammates about it, and he was scared of what they'd think. Naruto was lost in thought, and tensed when he felt a hand on his shoulder, but relaxed when he looked back and saw Sasuke. Oh, hey Sasuke, he said, as he stopped walking and turned to face Sasuke, and noticed the concerned look on his teammate's face. I'm fine, really. You sure? Because I don't think I've ever seen you eat less than 5 bowls in one sitting. Sasuke told him, a smirk on his face, but the concern was still obvious. Like I told Sakura, I'm fine, Naruto replied, and turned around to keep walking, before Sasuke grabbed his arm. Naruto, something's bothering you. You helped me when I needed to face what he did, so I want to help you, Sasuke told him, not letting go of his arm. Naruto tried to wrestle free of his grip, but couldn't get Sasuke to let go. Just let me go, Sasuke. I don't want to talk about it. You may not want to, but you need to talk about it, Naruto. There's obviously something that you need to get off your chest, and I won't leave until you tell me. Sasuke tightened his grip on Naruto's arm, and Naruto just sighed in return. Fine, but not here. We're close to my apartment, so I'll tell you there. Naruto conceded, and Sasuke let go of his arm, then followed him to his apartment. Inside Naruto's apartment, Sasuke looked around his teammate's apartment and couldn't help but compare it to his own. It was smaller than his own, and it was a mess. He lives here. He couldn't help but think to himself, but was brought out of his thoughts when Naruto started talking. Naruto was sitting on his bed, while Sasuke stood in front of him. I'm sure you've noticed how people have always hated me, right? Sasuke nodded at that. At first he'd figured that it was because all the pranks Naruto did, but he realized that no amount of pranks could make the village hate a child that much. It's been like that my whole life. People would always ignore me or just glare at me. Whenever I tried to play with other kids at the park, their parents would take them away. Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba were the only ones that would always hang out with me at the park, but they had to go home at some point, and I was always left alone at the end of the day. It hurt, and I started pranking people so that people would give me some kind of attention, even if it was the bad kind, though the pranking was a lot of fun. Naruto gave a weak smile at the last part. But why would people treat you so badly? I've noticed you get glares when we're walking around, usually from civilian families, and occasionally some random shinobi. Have they always treated you like that? Sasuke asked, and Naruto nodded in response. They have, as long as I can remember. I didn't find out why until the night after I failed the graduation exam, the night I awakened my Sharingan. He explained, and Sasuke started to put some pieces together. Was finding out why the reason you awakened your Sharingan? He asked, and Naruto just nodded his approval again. Do you remember learning about the Kyuubi attack 12 years ago? Naruto asked, and Sasuke nodded, a little confused about the seeming change in conversation. Well, it happened the night I was born. We were told that the Yondaime Hokage sacrificed his life and killed the Kyuubi, but that wasn't the whole truth. From what I was told, the Kyuubi is a massive chakra, so it can't really be killed. It would just reform over time, and the Yondaime sacrifice would be for nothing. The only option was to seal it, but it's too powerful to be sealed in an object, so he had to seal it in a baby. Naruto explained, mentally bracing himself for the only reactions he expected coming: fear and rejection. Sasuke's eyes were widening in realization as the pieces started to click together. The glares and the loneliness he saw in Naruto was because of this. He could see that Naruto was scared of his reaction, and he wasn't sure what to do, so he just asked the obvious. And he sealed it in you? Naruto nodded, not looking him in the eyes. Yeah. Naruto started, staring at the wall behind Sasuke. I have the Kyuubi sealed in me, he told Sasuke, and channeled chakra to his stomach as he lifted his shirt, revealing the seal. I understand if you dash, he started, but was cut off when Sasuke put a hand on his shoulder. Naruto, it doesn't matter, Sasuke told him, and Naruto finally looked Sasuke in the eyes. He was expecting fear, hatred, or disgust, and was surprised when he saw acceptance. You're my teammate and a member of my clan. I'd never turn my back on a comrade. I just have one question, he told Naruto, removing his hand from Naruto's shoulder and putting both hands in his pockets. You want to know why I was chosen, right? Naruto asked, and his question was met by a nod from Sasuke. Well, this is a pretty big secret, so you can't say anything to anyone. Not that I think you would, but I just have to tell you that. A bigger secret than a demon sealed in you? Sasuke asked him, confused and curious. Yeah, the old man told me. I'll have to let him know in the morning that I told you about all of this, though he was probably expecting me to at some point. He told Sasuke, and sheepishly grinned while scratching the back of his head. All right, just tell me already. Well, the Kyuubi is really powerful. It has to be sealed in someone with naturally large chakra reserves, but they have to be young too. A fully grown adult's chakra systems, or whatever the old man called it, can't adapt to the chakra of the Kyuubi. According to the old man, my mother comes from a clan who have naturally large chakra reserves, so I could handle the Kyuubi being sealed inside of me. There were probably other options in the village, other kids with large chakra reserves. He trailed off, and Sasuke just continued to stare at him. Are you gonna finish? Sasuke asked, eyebrow raised. The Yondaime knew it would have to be sealed in a child, and, fortunately, his own child had just been born. That night, he continued, and Sasuke's eyes widened again. He knew he couldn't ask someone else to give up their child if he wouldn't do it himself. Naruto finished, watching Sasuke's reaction. You're the son of the Yondaime? Sasuke asked in shock, and Naruto nodded in confirmation. Wait, didn't you say your father was actually an Uchiha? The Yondaime was an Uchiha. Now that he'd been told, he could see the similarities between Naruto and the pictures he'd seen of the Yondaime Hokage. However, he couldn't believe that Minato Namikaze was actually an Uchiha. Yeah, crazy huh? Apparently he didn't know himself, and never awakened his Sharingan. The old man was so shocked after he saw my Sharingan that he tested my blood, my mom's blood, and my father's blood to see what side I got my Sharingan from. Naruto finished, and Sasuke just watched him, shock evident on his, normally stoic, face. So, your father, the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, was an Uchiha. He sealed the nine-tailed fox within you, his son, to defeat it. Sasuke summarized, and Naruto nodded, glad to have it off his chest. That's why everyone avoided you? Why everyone shot glares at you? That's so unfair, Sasuke told him, emotion in his usually monotonous voice. Naruto, on the other hand, was smiling. Not his usual fake grin, and not his mischievous grin, but an actual smile of happiness. He'd been so scared of rejection that he was actually expecting it. He never thought someone could know the whole truth and actually empathize with him. Thank you for trusting me with this, Naruto. Sasuke finished, getting over the shock of it all. Well, you kinda didn't leave me a choice. Naruto laughed. You probably would have broken my wrist if I refused any more. Besides, it was only fair. You told me about your issues and I was gonna tell you about this eventually anyways. I was scared that you'd hate me for it. Anyone who would hate you for this is an even bigger idiot than you are, idiot. Sasuke told him, his shocked expression replaced with his signature smirk. Yeah, wait. Hey, we were having a moment here, you know? Naruto yelled at him. Why'd you have to go and ruin it like that? Hey, it's not my fault that you're an idiot. Sasuke smirked at him. Anyways, are you gonna tell Sakura? I'm sure Kakashi already knows. Yeah, Kaka-sensei knows about all of it. He was my father's student after all. Naruto explained. Though, I'm scared to tell Sakura. I don't know how she'd react. If she reacts badly, then just ignore her. She's not really important. If she can't see you for you, then she isn't worth your time. Hey, she's still our comrade, you know? Why do you always act like a dick to her? Anyways, she really likes you. Naruto asked him and Sasuke grunted. She's just a fangirl. She's been less annoying since we became a team, but she's not doing anything to advance her skills as a shinobi. She doesn't even eat properly. She's way too thin to be a shinobi. Even her friend Ino is better. At least Ino actually trains with her clan. Sasuke explained, and Naruto couldn't help but agree. Yeah, I guess you have a point there. She'd probably work harder if you told her to, though. Maybe we could ask Kakashi about getting her some personalized training? Naruto suggested and Sasuke shrugged. I guess that'd work. It'll have to wait till tomorrow, though. It's getting really late. Let's head to my apartment. Sasuke told him and began to walk towards the door. Your apartment? But it's late, and we should probably get to bed soon. Naruto asked him, eyebrow raised. Sasuke turned back to him and motioned for him to get up. Naruto, this place is a mess. I don't know who decided to let you take care of yourself, but no one should live by themselves in a place like this. I have a spare room at my apartment, and you may as well stay in it, since we're from the same clan. Grab a change of clothes to wear tomorrow, and we can come back for the rest once we're done tomorrow. Wait, really? Naruto asked, excited at the idea of living with someone else. Yeah, now come on. And, as a bonus, if you're living with me, you'll start eating real food. Sasuke said, and walked out of Naruto's, soon-to-be former, apartment. Naruto grabbed a pair of clothes for the morning, followed Sasuke out, and the two of them walked to Sasuke's apartment. Naruto and Sasuke were sitting at a table eating breakfast. Unlike Naruto, Sasuke had actual food to create meals, other than just ramen. The two of them were having eggs, and Naruto was reading some scrolls Sasuke gave him, using his Sharingan to speed up the process. Ha! So this is how the Sharingan works. I kinda just thought you turned it on and off like a light switch. Didn't realize it was more like a floodgate for chakra that activated it. Naruto said through a mouthful of food, causing Sasuke to take the scroll from him. Hey, you're the one who wanted me to read that. You're gonna get food on it, idiot, Sasuke told him, and shook his head. I thought you might eat like an actual human if we had something other than ramen, but apparently I was wrong. But you make really good eggs, I can't get enough. They may not be ramen, but they're still amazing, Naruto said as he shoved more food into his mouth and continued to talk with his mouth full. Where'd you learn to cook, anyways? He asked and swallowed the last of his eggs. Sasuke finished his own food and handed the scroll back to Naruto. I taught myself once I started living on my own. I doubt I'd be alive if I ate like you, Sasuke told him and collected their plates to put them in the sink. I really didn't think there was anything wrong with how I ate. I've never felt unhealthy, Naruto told him before going back to reading the scroll. Sasuke just sighed. Didn't you tell me you heal fast thanks to the QB or something? Whatever helps you heal probably keeps your body healthier than it would be otherwise. Oh heh, I guess that makes sense. Maybe I'll heal even faster if I eat healthy? Naruto asked before setting the scroll down and standing up. Oh well, we should go see the old man before we meet up with Kaka-sensei and Sakura, though Kakashi will probably be a few hours late anyways. Naruto walked over to grab his headband and threw Sasuke's headband at Sasuke. The old man dash? Sasuke started to question, but remembered what Naruto told him the night before. Oh, right, you need to tell the Hokage that you told me. Well, let's go. Kakashi may not get to the training ground until 2 hours after us, but Sakura will still burst our eardrums if we're late. Sasuke rinsed off their plates in the sink, and they both put their headbands on and left the apartment. Hokage's office. Hiruzen was working on paperwork, like usual, when he heard knocking on the door. He finished up with what he was working on and cleared his desk. Enter, he commanded, and the door opened to reveal the last two Uchiha, Naruto and Sasuke. Ah, Naruto, it's good to see you again. I hope you aren't here to steal the scroll of sealing again. Naruto sheepishly grinned and scratched the back of his head. It was the one-time old man. But no, I just wanted to let you know I told Sasuke about the, Naruto trailed off, thinking of a word to describe it, before coming up with the simple word of stuff. Stuff, Hiruzen echoed, though he could guess where this was going. Sasuke just removed one of his hands from his pockets and pointed at the picture of the Yondaime Hokage on the wall, before putting it back in his pocket. Ah, that stuff. It's all right, Naruto. I figured you'd tell someone you trusted, he said and looked at Sasuke. Now, Sasuke, I presume Naruto told you that this is a secret? You can't tell anyone, or Naruto will be in danger from the Yondaime's enemies. I'm aware, Lord Hokage, Sasuke said with a half bow. I'd never put a member of my clan in danger. He turned to Naruto and smirked. Though he is an idiot, so don't be surprised if he lets it slip. Naruto was still looking at the Hokage and grinning. Yeah, old man, he'd never dash, he started, and then turned to Sasuke with an eye twitch. Hey, why do you always do that? We're both being friendly, and then you go and call me an idiot, Naruto complained, while Sasuke continued to smirk. Ah well, we should get going. Sasuke was cut off by a little streak of brown and blue flying at Naruto. Boss! The streak of brown was revealed to be a kid with spiky brown hair, goggles around his forehead, and a long blue scarf. He was the grandson of the Sandaime Hokage, Konohamaru Sarutobi. He was staring up at Naruto with wonder in his eyes, before looking over at Sasuke. Who's this? Is he another student of yours, boss? Sasuke just glared at Konohamaru in response, and Naruto scratched the back of his head. Naruto laughed, awkwardly. No, Konohamaru, this is my teammate, Sasuke. Sasuke, this is Konohamaru. He's the old man's grandson. Sasuke continued to stare at Konohamaru, before asking Naruto, why does he call you boss? Well, why see, when I got my photo taken for my profile, Konohamaru ran in. I think he said something to me? I guess he expected me to do nothing to him because he's the honorable grandson or whatever. I just told him off anyways, and he started following me. He challenged me for the title of Hokage and asked me to train him. He's kinda just been calling me boss since then, Naruto explained, and Konohamaru kept looking at Sasuke. "Hey boss, is this guy strong? Is he as strong as you?" Konohamaru asked, and Sasuke grew a tick mark on his forehead. Naruto noticed Sasuke's growing annoyance and decided to step in before he put the Hokage's grandson under a torturous genjutsu in front of the Hokage. "Yeah, remember when I showed you my cool eyes? He has the same thing," Naruto told Konohamaru, and Konohamaru started to stare up at Sasuke with wonder. "Anyways, Konohamaru, we gotta get going. We've got to do ninja missions, you know?" he said, and waved goodbye to the Hokage before dragging Sasuke out, with Konohamaru staring at them as they left. When the two Uchiha left the office, Konohamaru ran up to the Hokage's desk. "Hey, Gramps, do you think I could get eyes like them?" he asked, voice full of excitement. Hiruzen shook his head, smiling at his excitable grandson. "Sorry, Konohamaru, those two have special eyes. It's a clan thing. Have you learned about bloodlines in the academy yet?" Hiruzen asked. "Oh yeah, is that what those eyes are? Man, that's so cool. Does our clan have a bloodline, Gramps?" Konohamaru asked. "No, we don't," Hiruzen told his grandson, and saw his face fall. "However, you don't need a bloodline to be strong, Konohamaru. Look at me, I don't have a bloodline, yet I'm the Hokage," he reassured Konohamaru. "I'm sure you'll be a great shinobi." "Really? Thanks, Gramps." A week later, mission assignment room. "Come on, Kaka-sensei, we've done so many D ranks now, and I've practically memorized that cat's movement pattern. Give us a real mission," Naruto whined, while Sasuke and Sakura silently agreed. They'd been going on D ranks for a while now, and it was extremely boring. The only good thing to come of them was from the map-making missions, which let Sasuke get used to keeping his Sharingan active for longer periods of time. "Naruto!" Irika yelled from behind the desk, annoyed by his former student. "You'll get better missions once Kakashi thinks you're ready." But Irika-Naruto started, but was cut off by Hiruzen clearing his throat. "Kakashi, do you believe your students to be ready for a C rank?" Hiruzen asked Kakashi, and Naruto had to suppress his anticipation. Kakashi eyed his three genin thoughtfully for a few seconds. I'd say Naruto and Sasuke are more than ready for a C rank. Sakura, however. Well, if we're attacked by bandits, this should be a good wake-up call for her, he thought, and turned to the Hokage. "Yeah, I'd say my team is ready for a C rank." Hiruzen started looking through the C rank mission requests, until he found one and held it up for Kakashi. "How about this one, Kakashi?" he asked, and waited for Kakashi to finish reading it. Yeah, we accept this mission, Lord Hokage," Kakashi said, and Naruto started literally jumping for joy. Hiruzen handed the scroll to Kakashi and turned to Irika. "All right, Irika, go get the client," Hiruzen commanded, and Irika quickly got up, bowed, and left the room. "Woo-hoo!" Naruto cheered and held up a hand in front of Sasuke who, reluctantly, high-fived him. After a few moments, Irika walked back in, the client behind him. The client was an older man with small glasses and reddened eyes. He smelled of booze and was drinking a bottle. When the client looked at the group of genin, he looked disappointed. "These brats? I hired shinobi, not kids," he slurred and angered the genin, mainly Naruto and Sasuke. "Hey, you old drunk, we're shinobi," Naruto shouted at him and tapped his forehead protector with his thumb. "You're just a brat," the old drunk shouted back, angering Naruto even more. "Oh yeah?" Naruto asked, and activated his Sharingan to scare the drunk, making him flinch back. Kakashi walked in between the two and looked down at Naruto. Ma Naruto, don't make our client wet himself," Kakashi told him, and Naruto deactivated his Sharingan. Kakashi turned around to face the old drunk and gave him one of his signature eye smiles. "Don't mind him, but I can assure you my team is more than capable of protecting you as you head back to the land of waves, mister." Kakashi looked down at the scroll and read the name of the client again. "Tazuna." Tazuna quickly changed his attitude and looked at the three genin again and looked at Kakashi. Yua, it's all right. I'm sure these three and you will be fine, Tazuna said, slightly sweating. All right then, we'll meet you tomorrow at 8 by the gate. My genin will need some time to gather their stuff before we leave the village. Kakashi told Tazuna and left the room. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura looked at Tazuna one more time and followed Kakashi out. Once the three had left the room, Tazuna let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Damn, what's with that kid's eyes? He muttered, and left the room too, while Hiruzen had to fight back a laugh at the scene of a 12-year-old terrifying a full-grown adult. The next day, 10 o'clock at the gate. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna were all waiting at the gate, Kakashi nowhere in sight. Naruto and Sasuke were talking, with Sakura following along the conversation and Tazuna standing off to the side. All of them annoyed. Where's that damn teacher of yours? He told us to meet him at 8. Didn't he? It's 10. Tazuna complained, and the three genin's sweat dropped. That's Kakashi for you, Sasuke stated, also annoyed, but unsurprised. Naruto just sighed. I thought he might actually get here on time for once, since we're leaving the village and all, but I guess not. Wait, so he does this a lot? Tazuna asked the three genin, who all just nodded their heads. Kakashi chose that moment to arrive in a swirl of leaves, orange book in hand. You're late, Sakura shouted at her sensei, who just gave her an eye smile. Sorry about that. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way, Kakashi told them, and began to walk out of the gate, the three annoyed genin and Tazuna following behind him. A few hours later, far from the village. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, and Tazuna were all walking along a path, heading towards the ocean so they could cross to the land of waves. Naruto and Sasuke both had their Sharingan activated, as Kakashi suggested they train their eyes by keeping their Sharingan activated over long periods of time. Naruto had no problem with this, thanks to his own Uzumaki healing and the healing from the Kyuubi, along with his massive chakra reserves. Sasuke felt a slight strain on his eyes, but it wasn't major, thanks to all the time he spent with his Sharingan active during their D-ranks. Naruto and Sasuke noticed a puddle in the distance and saw the chakra infused in it. They turned around to look at Kakashi, who gave them an eye smile and told them, "Don't worry about it just yet." This earned them confused looks from Sakura and Tazuna, while Naruto and Sasuke shrugged to each other, returning their eyes to the path ahead. The five of them walked past the puddle, and they turned around at the sound of chains wrapping around Kakashi, with two ninja wielding them. The chains tightened and seemingly cut Kakashi to pieces. "Kakashi-sensei!" Sakura yelled, and Tazuna looked at the ninja, terrified. Naruto and Sasuke, who both still had their Sharingan active, saw Kakashi substitute himself at the last second and knew he was all right. "Come on, let's get the old man," one of the ninja shouted, and charged towards Tazuna, preparing to wrap their chains around him. Sasuke, seeing this, pulled out one of his kunai and threw it, pinning the chains to a tree. Naruto, following Sasuke's example, attacked the two ninja, Sharingan blazing. "Wait, do those brats have the Sharingan?" the other ninja asked, as he attempted to attack Naruto. Naruto dodged his attack and pulled out a kunai from his holster and knocked the ninja's blade away, before punching the ninja in the chest and sending him flying back. While that was happening, Sasuke was in a battle with the other ninja. The enemy ninja had him on size, but Sasuke was faster and had better reactions, thanks to his Sharingan. He was dodging all of the attacks from the enemy ninja and stabbed them in the arm with his kunai. Kakashi showed back up at that moment and tied up the two injured enemy shinobi, knocking them out so they couldn't escape. Naruto and Sasuke both deactivated their Sharingan once they saw Kakashi tie up the enemy ninja. Kakashi turned to look at Tazuna and Sakura, who were both scared still. They both looked at Kakashi and looked at where they thought he died, only to see splintered wood where his body should have been. "Tazuna?" Kakashi asked, and brought Tazuna's attention back to him. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about this mission? Tazuna, now on the spot, was getting nervous. Kakashi was eyeing him closely, suspicion in his gaze. What do you mean? Tazuna asked, trying to play it off. Well, when you asked for our services, you asked for standard protection. We were hired to protect you from bandits, not shinobi. It appears that those two shinobi were after you, which would make this a B-rank mission, at least. If we'd known about this, we would have had more experienced shinobi protecting you, and the mission would have costed more. Kakashi explained to Tazuna, who was avoiding his gaze. Well, Tazuna started, trying to think of a good way to explain it. The Land of Waves is a really poor country. We didn't have the money to afford anything higher than a C rank. Tazuna told them, trying to gauge Kakashi's reaction, but found it difficult to through his mask. Why is the Land of Waves so poor, Mr. Tazuna? Sakura asked him. Have any of you ever heard of Gato? Tazuna asked, looking between the four shinobi. Kakashi nodded. Gato, as in one of the richest people in the world? The guy who's in charge of that big shipping company. Yeah, that guy. Tazuna confirmed. Gato is, publicly, a very powerful tycoon, but secretly he sells drugs and contraband. He uses gangs and hires ninja to do his dirty work. About a year ago, Gato came to the Land of Waves and used his wealth to take over transport and shipping, and basically took control of the country. He got rid of anyone who tried to resist his control. He's the one who hired those ninja to kill me, and it's why I asked for protection. Why's he after you? Naruto asked him, confused. Tazuna opened his mouth to answer, but Sakura spoke up before he got the chance. Because of the bridge. If Tazuna connects the Land of Waves to the mainland, Gato loses his hold on the country. She told them, excited to get something before her teammates. Maybe Sasuke will see how smart I am and he'll ask me to hang out, Sakura thought and fought a blush. Tazuna nodded in confirmation, and Kakashi looked over at the two tied-up ninja. Well, this goes beyond the scope of the mission we were assigned. Kakashi told them and looked at Tazuna. We may need to head back to the village he started, but got cut off by Naruto. No, we accepted this mission, Kaka-sensei. We can't turn our back on their country. Naruto protested, and Tazuna looked at him with gratitude. Sasuke put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and looked up at Kakashi. I agree with the idiot. We can't just abandon the mission because it's harder than we thought it'd be. Sasuke told Kakashi, and Naruto decided to ignore the idiot. Kakashi looked between Naruto and Sasuke, and then turned to look at Sakura. Well, what do you think, Sakura? He asked her. Oh, I agree with Sasuke, she told Kakashi, and he gave them all an eye smile. Kakashi turned back to Tazuna and gave him a nod. We'll go along with the mission, but I need to contact Konoha so someone can come and get these two. Kakashi told Tazuna and pointed to the two shinobi tied to the tree. A couple hours later, the water was finally in view for the group of 5, and they walked up to the small boat that Tazuna had reserved. Naruto and Sasuke had reactivated their Sharingan for the walk there, but they deactivated once the mist started to get in the way. Tazuna gave a little money to the man on the boat, and they set off across the water. After a little while, the shore was finally in view. They stayed silent for the majority of the trip across the water, because they didn't want to attract any unwanted attention when they were at a disadvantage and couldn't properly fight, since the genin had yet to learn water walking. They marveled at the bridge for a bit, and then they reached the shore. The group of 5 got off the boat and thanked the man for taking them across the water. Naruto and Sasuke reactivated their Sharingan, and they set off to travel across the land to Tazuna's house. After a few minutes, Naruto noticed movement with his Sharingan and threw a kunai into the bushes, and a rabbit ran out. Naruto, you could have killed that bunny, Sakura screamed at him. Sasuke sighed and looked at her, his Sharingan still active. Sakura, Naruto would have killed the animal if he really wanted to. He just wanted to see what was causing the rustling in the bushes, Sasuke explained while Kakashi looked at the rabbit. At nearly the same moment, Kakashi heard the sound of something cutting through the air, while Naruto and Sasuke noticed the giant sword with their Sharingan. All three of them shouted, "Duck!" at the same time, and tackled Sakura and Tazuna to the ground. The sword lodged into a tree, and a buff shinobi wearing bandages as a mask landed on top of it. Kakashi of the Sharingan. No wonder the demon brothers failed to kill the bridge builder, the shinobi said, and looked at the group from Konoha. Never thought the legendary cold-blooded Kakashi would take on babysitting. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi noted, and removed the forehead protector covering his Sharingan. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, protect Tazuna, he commanded, not taking his eyes off of Zabuza. Oh, using the Sharingan already? I'm honored, Zabuza said and looked at the genin. Wait, those red eyes. Does Kakashi have 2 Sharingan users on his team? I thought there was only one Uchiha left in the leaf, Zabuza asked himself, before turning his attention back to Kakashi. It doesn't matter. They're still just genin, Sharingan or not. Kakashi is the real threat here. Zabuza ran through hand signs and called out water style, hidden mist jutsu. A chakra-filled mist flooded the clearing, hiding Zabuza from view. He removed his sword from the tree and walked in front of the group. Kakashi cleared away some of the mist with his own chakra, allowing the group to see the area around them. However, Zabuza began to unleash killing intent. The group of Genin and Tazuna had never experienced killing intent before, and especially not on the level of a Jonin. Sasuke began to raise his kunai to his neck, but Kakashi's voice stopped him. Sasuke, calm down. I'll protect you with my life. All of you. I will not allow my comrades to die. Trust me, Kakashi told them, giving an eye smile at the end. I wouldn't be so sure, Zabuza said and appeared between the Genin and Tazuna. However, snapped out of their shock at the killing intent, Sasuke and Naruto immediately sped around and stabbed him with their kunai, their Sharingan blazing. We got Naruto started, until he noticed that Zabuza wasn't bleeding, he was leaking water. A water clone, Sasuke told Naruto, and they both turned back around and tried to spot Zabuza. I'm impressed, Kakashi. It seems that the boys have some skill with those Sharingan of theirs, Zabuza said, and appeared in front of Kakashi. The water clone pales in comparison to the original, but it's impressive for a genin. Zabuza swung his giant blade at Kakashi, who blocked it with his arm. It's a shame those two will have to die, along with you. Maybe once you're all dead, I can get some extra money by selling those Sharingan? I bet 5 Sharingan would go for a lot from any of the hidden villages. The two Jonin traded blows, until Kakashi was forced into the water, where Zabuza trapped him in a water prison. Zabuza then made a group of water clones on the shore to deal with Tazuna and the Genin. Kakashi told them to run, but the Genin knew they'd never get away fast enough to escape Zabuza. Sakura, keep guarding Tazuna, Naruto commanded, and raised his hands to form a single sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he shouted, and a dozen Narutos appeared around him, all with blazing Sharingan. Naruto commanded the shadow clones to charge at the water clones, and they were able to successfully dispatch most of the water clones thanks to their Sharingan. However, there was still one left on the shore, stopping them from reaching Kakashi. The real Naruto walked over to Sasuke and handed him something. Oh, I see, Sasuke said, and brought out a Fuma Shuriken. Shadow Shuriken technique, Sasuke thought, and threw the Fuma Shuriken at the water clone. The water clone easily caught it, but didn't notice the second one in its shadow, which headed straight for the real Zabuza. Zabuza watched them, impressed, but simply jumped over the second Shuriken. However, he was caught off guard when the second Shuriken turned into Naruto and threw a kunai at him, forcing him to drop the water prison. He dropped into the water after throwing the kunai and trusted in Kakashi to finish the fight. Once Kakashi got out of the prison, he engaged Zabuza again, this time over the water. He copied Zabuza's techniques and cast a subtle genjutsu over Zabuza, In the end, Kakashi defeated Zabuza and knocked him against a tree on the shore. Naruto was washed back onto the shore too, where Sasuke helped him up. How? Zabuza asked, staring at Kakashi. Can you see into the future? Yes, this is your last battle, ever, Kakashi told him, and prepared to go in for the kill, but he was interrupted when Senbon flew into Zabuza's neck, seemingly killing him. Kakashi looked up at where the Senbon came from and saw a hunter ninja. Naruto and Sasuke ran up to where Kakashi was and looked up at the hunter ninja. Thank you for doing my job for me, the hunter ninja told them, before grabbing Zabuza and disappearing. Once the hunter ninja left, Kakashi collapsed and passed out. Sakura and Tazuna ran up to where Kakashi collapsed and looked at Naruto and Sasuke, who were still staring at where the hunter ninja disappeared from. Is he okay? Tazuna asked, while Sakura checked his pulse. Sakura nodded her confirmation. His pulse is weaker, but it's steady. I think he just passed out. Sasuke and Naruto looked at Kakashi, unconscious on the ground, and noticed what was wrong with their Sharingan. It's chakra exhaustion. Kakashi overused his Sharingan. He just needs rest. Sasuke told them, and Naruto created clones to carry Kakashi, before looking back at Sasuke. Did you notice? Naruto asked Sasuke, and Sasuke nodded in return. Notice what? Sakura asked the two, as they deactivated their Sharingan. Zabuza wasn't killed. His chakra was weak, but it didn't fade when those Senbon hit him, Naruto told Sakura, who stared at them with wide eyes. Tazuna? Sasuke asked, drawing Tazuna's attention. How far is your house from here? It's not too far. We could get there in the next couple hours if we hurry, Tazuna told Sasuke, who nodded. Well, let's get going, Sasuke said, and the group began to walk towards Tazuna's house, with Naruto's clones carrying Kakashi's unconscious body. Team 7 and Tazuna had made it back to Tazuna's house late the night before. Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami, found a place for them to put down Kakashi so he could rest until he was better. Naruto and Sasuke noticed Tazuna's grandson, Inari, watching them, but they were too tired to care, and went to sleep in the living room shortly after they made sure Kakashi was all right. Tsunami found Sakura a place she could sleep, away from the boys, and they were all asleep within 30 minutes of getting back to Tazuna's house. Sasuke was the first one to wake up the following morning, and he walked over to where Naruto was sleeping and shook Naruto to wake him up. Would dash, Naruto mumbled, and opened his eyes to see Sasuke standing over him. Come on, Naruto, let's go check on Kakashi. He might be conscious soon, Sasuke told him, and started to walk towards the room Kakashi was in. Naruto rubbed his eyes, yawned, and then followed after Sasuke. When they opened the door to Kakashi's room, they saw him already sitting up, reading his orange book. Kakashi looked up from his book when the two Uchiha entered, and gave them an eye smile. I assume it was one of you who carried me here? Kakashi asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I made a few shadow clones to carry you here. Are you feeling better? Sasuke noticed you had chakra exhaustion, because we could see that your reserves were low when we checked on you with our Sharingan, Naruto explained, and Kakashi closed his book. About Zabuza Kakashi started, but Sasuke cut him off. We know he's alive. We saw that his chakra didn't fade away when the hunter ninja hit him with those Senbon. We couldn't stop the hunter ninja from getting away with him, though. How long do you think it'll take for him and you to get back to full health? Sasuke asked, and Kakashi thought about it for a few seconds. I'd guess about a week, for both me and him. Even if I didn't get the chance to kill him, he was still basically immobile by the time the hunter ninja got him, and I doubt the Senbon helped his health. Kakashi told them. How do you think we could train Kaka-sensei? Do you think you could teach us some of those Sharingan tricks you used? Naruto asked Kakashi, thinking back to the fight between Kakashi and Zabuza. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Yeah, was it a genjutsu you put Zabuza under? Because while I've heard of the predictive abilities a 3 Tomo Sharingan grants, I've never heard of a Sharingan actually being able to look into the future. Kakashi nodded at Sasuke. Yeah, it was a subtle genjutsu. I made him think he wanted to do a jutsu that I already knew, and then I just did the jutsu before he got the chance to. Kakashi explained. Though I doubt he'll fall for that a second time. The Sharingan lets me cast and break out of genjutsu relatively easily, but it's not my speciality. You two could probably make more use of that trick than I could, though. It uses up a lot of my chakra, so I can't really spam it or make the genjutsu any stronger without crippling my chakra reserves for the rest of the fight. Naruto thought about it for a second, before asking another question he'd been thinking about. While we're on the topic of genjutsu, how exactly does that work with the Sharingan? The old man told me I put Mizuki under one the night I awakened by Sharingan, but I haven't really tried it again since then, except when I was threatening to put that cat under a genjutsu. Naruto told them and laughed a bit at the last part. Don't they teach you about genjutsu at the academy? Kakashi asked Naruto. Hehe, maybe? I wasn't exactly the best student. I was probably asleep or something for that. Naruto admitted to Kakashi, and sheepishly grinned at him. Kakashi and Sasuke had to fight the urge to facepalm at that, and Kakashi decided to explain it to Naruto. Well, basically, genjutsu work by controlling someone else's chakra flow and manipulating their senses. Usually, it takes really precise chakra control to use genjutsu. With your chakra, you'd probably be hopeless at genjutsu without your Sharingan. However, thanks to the Sharingan, we're able to directly push our chakra through our eyes and into someone else's, just by making eye contact. It's one of the things that makes the Sharingan so famous. Those with the Sharingan can subtly cast genjutsu without using any hand signs, so the target won't even notice that they've been placed in a genjutsu. Kakashi explained. My, friend, I guess. My guy fights me while watching my foot movement, so I can't place him under a genjutsu. Naruto's eyes widened a bit at that, and he activated his Sharingan. Oh, that's really convenient, you know? No wonder the Sharingan is so famous. Hey, do you think I could practice genjutsu on one of you? Naruto asked, and they both shook their heads. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and stared into Naruto's. It wouldn't work as well for you to try it on us. That's another thing that makes the Sharingan famous. On top of being able to cast genjutsu, we're essentially immune to them if the genjutsu isn't an extremely advanced one, and there aren't many on a high enough level for that. Sasuke explained, and deactivated his Sharingan, followed by Naruto deactivating his own. Oh, really? That's awesome. Do you know anyone with high-level genjutsu that would work on us? Naruto asked Kakashi. Well, there's Kurenai Yuhi, Team 8's Jonin-sensei. She's Konoha's genjutsu specialist. There's also, Kakashi looked at Sasuke, who gave him a nod. Itachi Uchiha. Kurenai is good, but you two may be able to escape her genjutsu thanks to your Sharingan. Itachi, on the other hand. Kakashi trailed off, and Sasuke picked up where he left off. Itachi is a master of genjutsu. Sharingan or not, you should never look in his eyes. And his eyes. Sasuke paused, getting confused looks from Kakashi and Naruto. A little bit before he killed my dash, he looked at Naruto. Our clan, he showed me something with his eyes. They were different than the normal Sharingan. Instead of Tomo, his eyes looked like a shuriken. The night he did it, he showed it to me again. But that time, he put me in a weird genjutsu. It was torture. I think he called it the Mangekyo Sharingan, and he told me. The emotion of thinking about it caused his Sharingan to activate, and Naruto put a hand on his shoulder. It's alright, Sasuke. You don't have to dash, Naruto tried to tell him, but Sasuke started to speak again. He told me I'd have to kill my best friend in order to get the eyes he has. Sasuke finished, and Kakashi's eye widened. Wait, when Rin died, I felt something in my Sharingan before everything went black. Is that how all those ninja died? Kakashi thought, realization dawning on him. The Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakashi echoed, and raised his hand to his covered Sharingan. Naruto looked into Sasuke's Sharingan eyes, hand still on his shoulder. Sasuke, you don't have to listen to your brother. There are other ways to become strong enough to defeat him, and I'll help you. You aren't alone. Naruto told him, and Sasuke deactivated his Sharingan. I know. Itachi is just so powerful. Sasuke sighed. I don't know how to beat him. Naruto stayed silent for a moment, and then his eyes lit up. Hey! From what the old man told me, my father was one of the strongest shinobi ever, and he never awakened the Sharingan. If he can become that strong without the Sharingan, we can become stronger than Itachi without the Mangekyo. Naruto told Sasuke, excitement evident in his voice. Kakashi was still silent, and still had his hand over his covered Sharingan. Sasuke gave a small smile at his teammates' enthusiasm, and then turned to look at Kakashi, noticing his weird reaction to the Mangekyo. Kakashi? Sasuke asked, snapping Kakashi out of his silence, and Kakashi turned to him. Have you heard of the Mangekyo before? You started acting weird once I mentioned it. Kakashi lowered his hand from his eye and opened his mouth to speak, but he was cut off by Sakura barging into the room. Kakashi-sensei, you're awake, she exclaimed, and all three of them turned to face her. Oh, hey Sakura. Kakashi greeted her, somewhat happy to avoid Sasuke's question, for now at least. Sakura turned to face Naruto and Sasuke. Oh, Sasuke looks so cute with bedhead, she thought, even though Sasuke's hair was barely messier than usual. What were you guys talking about? She asked, and Naruto shared a look with Sasuke. Sasuke just told her nothing, before turning to Kakashi. Me and Naruto need to ask you something later. When do you think you'll be good to train us? Sasuke asked, and Kakashi wiggled his legs a bit. Well, I'll need crutches, but the first thing I want to teach the three of you doesn't require much chakra usage. Kakashi explained, and picked up his orange book. Well, it's still really early. Tazuna probably has a pair of crutches around here somewhere, so we'll just have to ask him once he's up. We can train after we all eat breakfast. Sasuke looked a bit annoyed that Sakura interrupted the conversation they were having, but nodded in agreement. Sakura looked at the three of them, confused. Training? She asked, and Sasuke sighed. Zabuza's alive, remember? We need to train so we'll be ready to fight him and that fake hunter ninja, and you need the most training out of all of us. Sasuke told her, and Sakura's face of confusion turned to one of fear. Sakura looked down at Kakashi, then looked between her two teammates. We have to fight him? He's a Jonin. I thought Kakashi would fight him, she said shakily, obviously terrified. Naruto shook his head. No, Kakashi will be fine by the time we have to fight Zabuza, he started, and Sakura let out a sigh. But Zabuza will likely have the fake hunter ninja with him. Me and Sasuke will fight the fake hunter ninja, and you'll have to protect Tazuna. He finished, and Sakura looked uncertain. I have to protect Tazuna? She asked. From what? If you three are fighting the ninja, what do I need to protect him from? Kakashi gave her an eye smile. Just stray attacks. The three of us will try to make sure our fights are away from Tazuna, so you just need to watch out and make sure that he's not killed by a kunai or something we missed. Kakashi explained, and Sakura let out another sigh of relief. However, that doesn't mean you can slack off on your training. Now, how about the three of you go do something? I want to finish this chapter. Kakashi turned back to his book and continued reading. The three genin looked between each other and walked out of the room, leaving Kakashi in the room, alone. Kakashi turned to make sure they'd left, and then muttered, Mangekyo Sharingan. Huh? Tazuna's dining room. Tsunami, Tazuna, and Inari all woke up around an hour after the four shinobi. Tazuna did have a spare set of crutches lying around, and he gave them to Kakashi so he could get around without help. Now, they were all sitting at the table and eating breakfast. Naruto was making conversation, being loud like usual, when Inari finally spoke. Shut up. Why are you so happy? You're just gonna get yourself killed. You can't stand up against Gato. Inari yelled at Naruto, tears streaming down his face. Naruto, who was looking at and talking to Sasuke, turned to face Inari. Huh? I'm not gonna get myself killed. We're gonna take down Gato, he yelled back, and Inari slammed his fist down on the table in response. No, you're just gonna get yourself killed. You're just butting in, acting all happy. You don't know what it's like to suffer, Inari shouted, crying even harder. Sasuke looked over to Naruto and could tell he was getting pissed off and noticed his Sharingan activate from the anger. Naruto dash he started, but Naruto didn't give him the chance to finish. Naruto glared at Inari, his Sharingan spinning. Are you just gonna let Gato take over your country? Just gonna sit here crying all day? Do you have any idea what others are going through? While you're just sitting here in your cozy little house. There are people who have watched their entire clan be slaughtered. People who have lost friends and comrades. People who grew up without any kind of family, who were shunned by everyone they met. But they aren't just sitting around, wallowing in their own depression. No, they get up and do something, instead of just sitting there and crying. Naruto shouted, and Inari stared back at him wide-eyed. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and went back to eating, ignoring the eyes on him. Inari got up from his chair and ran out of the room. Sakura, watching Inari leave, turned to Naruto. Naruto, that was a bit harsh, you should dash, she started, but was cut off by Sasuke. Sakura, shut up. Naruto was right. The kid can't just sit there and cry and not do anything. Sasuke told her, and Naruto finished his food. Naruto stood up and looked at Tsunami. Thank you for the food, he said with a small bow, and then walked out of the house. Sasuke finished his own food and followed Naruto out before Sakura could say anything else. After Naruto and Sasuke left, Sakura turned to Kakashi. What did he mean by growing up without a family and being shunned? She asked Kakashi, who had somehow finished his food without anyone seeing under his mask. Ah, you noticed that? Well, that's something you'll have to ask him. It's not my place to tell you, Kakashi told her, and she gave him a confused look. Kakashi got up from his chair, crutches under his arms. He turned to Tsunami and said, Thank you for the food, Miss Tsunami. Before leaving the way Inari went, heading out to talk to him about what Naruto said. This left a confused Sakura, Tazuna, and Tsumami sitting at the dinner table. Outside Tazuna's house, Naruto was walking into a clearing, followed closely by Sasuke. Naruto stopped and turned back to look at Sasuke, who stopped in front of him. Look, I know I went too far, Naruto started, but Sasuke stopped him. No, you were right. If he kept going on, I might have ended up putting him in a genjutsu or something. Naruto chuckled a bit at that and rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't consider it. Though I think Kakashi might have scolded me if I put a civilian child in a genjutsu because he got mad at me. Naruto stopped scratching the back of the head. He could tell that Sasuke wanted to talk about something else. Sasuke looked around, making sure Sakura didn't follow them out, and then looked at Naruto. Did you notice Kakashi acting weird when we were talking about the Mangekyo? Before Sakura interrupted, he asked Naruto, who nodded. Yeah, I was gonna ask him about that whenever we got some alone time with him again. Though it can probably wait till we're done with this mission, since we really need to train first. Naruto told him and then activated his Sharingan. Wanna spar until Kakashi and Sakura get out here? I think I've got the style you showed me mostly down, Naruto said, and Sasuke activated his own Sharingan. They both got into their fighting stances and sparred. After a few minutes, Kakashi and Sakura showed up to see Naruto and Sasuke both sparring, a trail of red following their blazing Sharingan. Kakashi was impressed by how much Naruto had improved since the bell test, and Sakura was surprised by how fast the two of them were. When Naruto and Sasuke noticed Kakashi and Sakura's arrival, they quickly stopped and walked over to the two of them, deactivating their Sharingan. Sasuke was a little dirty, but he was mostly unharmed. Naruto had a few bruises, but they were quickly healing and fading away. Hey Kaka-sensei, Sakura, are we gonna train now? Naruto asked them, and Kakashi began to walk over to one of the trees. Since I'm more or less out of commission right now, I'm gonna teach you how to climb trees, Kakashi told them, and he was met with 3 faces of disappointment. But we already know how to climb trees, Kaka-sensei. Naruto deadpanned, and Sasuke grunted in agreement. Kakashi held up a hand, his crutches still under his arms, and gave them a smile. Ah, don't look so down, my cute little genin. I'm going to teach you how to do it without hands. He told them and started walking up the tree with his crutches. Sasuke immediately activated his Sharingan to see what Kakashi was doing, and he nudged Naruto to do the same. They could see the small amount of chakra he was using to do it, and prepared to try it themselves. Sakura was watching just as intensely, though she didn't have a Sharingan to see the chakra itself. It's a cool trick, Kakashi-sensei, but how will that help us in a fight? Sakura asked, with Naruto and Sasuke still focused on the chakra on his feet. Kakashi walked back down the tree and stood in front of the 3 genin. It's all about chakra control. If you can master this, in theory you could master any jutsu. You have to apply a constant amount of chakra to your feet, and you have to use just the right amount to stick to the tree without falling off or being sent flying. Kakashi explained to them and motioned for them to try. Sakura got it immediately, thanks to her innately good chakra control. Hey, I beat those 2 at something, she thought to herself, excited. Kakashi looked at her and gave her an eye smile. Oh, and the girl beats the 2 dojutsu users. Kakashi told them, seems like she's a natural with chakra control. Though she doesn't have nearly enough for it to matter in a fight, the way she is now, Kakashi thought to himself and looked over at the boys. These 2, however. Sasuke has really potent chakra for his age, and it's pretty abundant even for an Uchiha. And Naruto, his chakra is insanely large. Though I doubt they'd be getting it so quickly if they couldn't see the chakra with their Sharingan. Naruto and Sasuke were having a little bit more difficulty than Sakura was, but they were still getting it down relatively quickly. They started by trying the amount of chakra Kakashi used, but that sent the 2 of them flying off the tree because of the weight difference. They then looked over at how much Sakura was using, but she weighed less than them, so they slid off the tree. After a few minutes of trial and error, they were able to find a good middle ground between the 2, and could walk up and down the tree without issue. Naruto and Sasuke walked up to where Kakashi was leaning against another tree, reading his orange book again. What next, Kaka-sensei? Naruto asked, and Kakashi looked up from his book. Ah, done already? Well, all 3 of you won't be doing the same thing. Sakura? He asked, and she walked up to him. You need to work on your chakra capacity. Your control is amazing, but you don't have very much chakra. You should just keep walking up and down that tree until you can barely move. He instructed her, and she groaned. Really, Kakashi-sensei? What about them? She asked and pointed to Naruto and Sasuke. Shouldn't they do that too? Kakashi just shook his head. No, the 2 of them have extremely large chakra reserves for their age. Actually, the 2 of them have extremely large reserves in general. It doesn't help to expand their reserves, but I'm sure they could walk on vertical surfaces for days without feeling the drain. Kakashi explained, and noticed that Sakura looked upset at that. Don't feel bad about having less than them. These 2 just have exceptionally large reserves. The 3 of you are under half my age, yet Sasuke has reserves nearly as large as my own. And Naruto has reserves larger than mine. He explained, and Sakura looked a bit less disappointed at that. Oh, all right, she told them and headed off to the tree she was training on. Naruto shared a look with Sasuke, and then turned to Kakashi. Hey, me and Sasuke had an idea of a way we could help Sakura. Do you think you could find someone to train her once we get back to the village? Me and Sasuke both have you, but... He glanced over at Sakura, who was just walking up and down the tree, apparently already feeling it a bit. I don't think you could train her as well as you train us. We both have Sharingan like you, so you understand us a bit more, but she doesn't have that. Maybe you have a friend that could help her? Naruto asked and turned back to Kakashi. Kakashi thought about it for a bit, trying to think of someone who could train her. Yeah, maybe Kurenai? She's teammate sensei, but they're probably trained by their clans more than they are by her. Or... Kakashi trailed off, getting an evil look in his visible eye. I'm sure Might Guy would love to have another student he can train. Might Guy, Naruto echoed. The guy you said fights you while watching your foot movement? Why'd you mention him like it'd be torturous? Naruto asked. Well, Guy is certainly in. Kakashi suppressed a shiver. Interesting character. He's definitely a strong shinobi, probably even stronger than me, but he's got a special personality. You'll see what I mean whenever you meet him, Kakashi explained. Though I won't force any training on her. I'll ask Kurenai if Sakura asks for some extra training. Naruto gave him a grin. Thanks, Kaka-sensei. Kakashi rustled Naruto's hair and gave him an eye smile. No problem. Now, how about I start you and Sasuke's training? We don't know how strong that fake hunter ninja is, so I want to help you too as much as I can in the next week. Naruto grinned at Kakashi, and Sasuke smirked. Yeah, what are you gonna teach us? Some cool jutsu? Naruto asked, obviously excited. Just follow me, Kakashi told them, and used his crutches to start limping away. A few minutes later, outside of Tezuna's house, Naruto and Sasuke looked at their sensei, confused. Kakashi, why are we back here? Sasuke asked, looking around for anything they could use to train. Kakashi hummed and walked over to the edge of the dock and then stepped over it into the water. Well, my little prodigies, since you mastered tree walking, now we're gonna move on to water walking, he told them, and the two Uchiha activated their Sharingan. This is harder than tree walking, since the water is constantly moving. As I'm sure you two can see, you have to constantly dash. Kakashi started to explain, but was interrupted by the sound of Naruto plummeting into the water. CC cold, he screamed, and crawled back onto the dock. Kakashi rolled his visible eye. As I was saying, you have to constantly adjust the chakra output from your feet, he told them, and Naruto and Sasuke looked closely at the chakra output from his feet. Sasuke stepped out onto the water, not plummeting into the water like Naruto, but his foot up to his ankle was submerged in the water. Naruto followed his example and got the same result. After a few minutes of trying and falling, Naruto and Sasuke were both soaked, but they finally got it. They were able to walk on the water, though they were still slightly shaky. Kakashi was sitting on the dock and reading his book while they were training. He looked up from his book at the two Uchiha and gave them an eye smile. They were both looking at him expectantly, waiting for his next instruction. Now, I want the two of you to spar on the water, he told them, and they both went wide-eyed. Spar? On water? Naruto asked, and then Kakashi threw a kunai right in front of him, interrupting his focus and sending him plummeting into the water. Sasuke, startled by Naruto's fall, also fell into the water. Think back to my fight with Zabuza. Do you think I was focused on standing on the water the entire time? He asked, and the two Uchiha shook their heads as they got back up onto the dock, and then stepped back out onto the water. Of course I wasn't. I'd fall whenever he sent an attack at me or whenever I used a jutsu. I want you two to spar until walking on water becomes second nature to you, he told them, then grabbed his crutches and stood up. Now, I'm gonna go check on your other teammate, he told them, and limped off with his crutches. Naruto and Sasuke slipped into their fighting stances, Sharingan active, and charged at each other. At first, they'd both slip into the water every time one of them attacked the other, and would have to get back up by using the dock. After about 30 minutes, they could trade hits for a couple minutes without falling in, and lift themselves back up onto the surface of the water without using the dock. After another 30 minutes, they were able to fight normally on the water, and even slide across it when they were hit. Both of them were sweating, but it was hard to tell because of the water soaking their bodies. When Kakashi showed back up, an exhausted Sakura was following behind him. They saw Naruto get a hit to Sasuke's stomach, which sent Sasuke sliding across the water, but he didn't fall in. Sakura was surprised to see them walking on water so easily, and Kakashi was proud of his two students. Alright, that's enough for now, Kakashi called out to them, and they turned to look at Kakashi and Sakura. Hey Sakura, Naruto called out, and ran across the water back to the dock. Sasuke followed behind him, but walked instead of ran. When Sakura was snapped out of her shock at seeing them walk on water, she noticed what they were wearing. Naruto had ditched his jacket and it was laying on the dock, and both of their shirts were soaking wet and sticking to their forms. Wow, they're soffit. Even Naruto, she thought. Cha, Eno Pigs is gonna be so jealous when she finds out about this. Inner Sakura shouted. You done tree walking? Naruto asked her and she nodded her head. Yeah, I was too tired to continue, she told him, and Sasuke stepped onto the dock behind her. If you stop whenever you're too tired, your reserves won't grow very quickly, Sasuke told her, and Sakura scratched the back of her head in a very Naruto-like way. Well, we can't all have huge chakra reserves like you two, Sakura told him, and Sasuke just sighed. Sasuke pointed his thumb at Naruto. Well, this idiot has chakra reserves larger than basically anyone, and he still trains until he drops whenever he trains, Sasuke said, and Naruto grinned. Sakura stared at Naruto in surprise. Really? If your chakra reserves are so massive, wouldn't that take forever? She asked him, and Naruto shrugged. Well, I guess, but it'd probably take longer for me to become exhausted if I didn't use shadow clones so much. They cut my chakra in half, so every shadow clone kinda halves the amount of time it'd take me otherwise. Dispelling them also exhausts me even more for some reason and sometimes makes me pass out. So Sasuke ends up dragging me back home occasionally, Naruto told her. Though more than a few times, he's passed out from the exhaustion too and we just wake up on the training ground. We've been using the one in the old Uchiha compound, though, so we don't really have to worry about anyone finding us when we do. Sakura felt embarrassed by her work ethic compared to her two teammates. Oh, I guess I'm just not as motivated as you two. I've only ever really studied until I passed out from being tired, and she started, but was cut off by Sasuke. Well, you should really find some motivation if you don't want to get killed. Why did you want to become a kunoichi in the first place? Because basically everyone else who graduated with us has some form of motivation driving them to be a shinobi, even if most of them are just motivated because they're from shinobi clans and are the heirs to their clans. My motivation is to confront the one who killed my clan. Naruto wants to confront him too, and he's motivated to become Hokage. You'll need to find some motivation if you ever want to advance as a kunoichi, Sasuke told her, and waited for a response from her. Even Naruto was uncharacteristically quiet, as both he and Kakashi were interested in hearing her reaction too. Sakura didn't know how to respond to him. Why did I become a kunoichi? In the academy, I always told myself it's what Sasuke would like. But I entered into the academy before I even met Sasuke. Sakura tried to think of a response, but she couldn't think of one that made sense. I don't know, she admitted. Sasuke sighed. Well, I suggest you either find one or give up on being a shinobi, he told her, stepped back out onto the water, and turned back to face Naruto. Come on, let's spar some more, he told Naruto, who glanced at Sakura before stepping out onto the water with Sasuke, leaving a silent Kakashi and a contemplative Sakura. Once they were further out on the water, and out of earshot, Naruto spoke to Sasuke. That was kind of harsh, but you're right. I hope she finds motivation because I don't want to see her quit or get killed. Sasuke nodded in agreement, and then activated his Sharingan. Yeah, though I won't hesitate to tell her that again if she can't find any motivation but continues as a kunoichi, and I'll be even harsher if I need to. Now, how about we use ninjutsu in this spar? Could make things more fun, Sasuke told him, and Naruto grinned and activated his Sharingan. Oh, you sure you won't be overwhelmed by a group of water-walking Sharingan shadow clones? Naruto asked, held up his hands to form a sign, and created 3 clones of himself before charging at Sasuke. Sasuke quickly ran through the hand signs for the fireball jutsu and launched one at Naruto. Naruto, seeing this, got 2 of his clones to launch him above the fireball and punched Sasuke from behind. While those 2 fought out on the water, Sakura and Kakashi watched them. Sakura was amazed by her 2 teammates and watched how smoothly they fought with each other. Wow, they're so skilled. Even Naruto, and he was the dead last. If both of them are that good, how good is the rest of our class now? Sasuke was right. Everyone in our class is destined to be something great. I don't want to be the only one who's forgotten by history. Especially since I'm on a team with those two. Sakura thought to herself and decided to go back to training, re-energized. Kakashi-sensei? I'm gonna go back to training. Can you check on me in a few hours if I'm not back? I don't want to pass out and end up sleeping in the forest all night. She told her sensei and began walking back to the clearing where she was training. Kakashi smiled under his mask as he watched her walk away. Sasuke may have been a bit harsh, but he had a point. I'm glad she found a reason to train, and I can only hope it's enough to help her survive in this world, he thought, and turned to watch the two Uchiha fighting smoothly over the water. Hey Naruto, Sasuke, he called out, and they both turned to him. I think you've both mastered that enough. How about I teach you some new things? He asked them, and they both stopped sparring and ran back to the dock where he was. Naruto was the first to reach the dock, but Sasuke wasn't very far behind. What are you gonna teach us, Kaka-sensei? Naruto asked, excitement in his voice. Kakashi pulled out 2 small pieces of paper and handed them to the two Uchiha, and was met with looks of confusion. These are tools to test your elemental affinity. You push chakra into them and their reaction shows you your affinity. I have a lightning affinity, so mine would crumple up. A fire affinity would burn, a wind affinity would cut, a water affinity would soak, and an earth affinity would crumble. Try it out. He instructed, and they both did as told. Sasuke went first, and his paper crumpled up into a ball, which somewhat surprised both Kakashi and Sasuke. A lightning affinity, huh? Uchiha usually have fire, which is actually the most common affinity in our village. It's really impressive that you can use the fireball jutsu so well despite it not being your affinity, Kakashi told Sasuke, who smirked. Naruto went next, and his paper cut in 2, surprising Sasuke and making Kakashi smile under his mask. A wind affinity. That's actually the rarest affinity to have. The only living person I can think of that has it is Team 10 Sensei, Asuma. Kakashi told him, and Naruto grinned at Sasuke. Ha! Mine is more rare than yours. He gloated to Sasuke, who dropped his smirk. You know who else had a wind affinity? Kakashi asked, and Naruto shook his head. Your father, Kakashi told Naruto, whose eyes lit up. Which, now that I think about it, is also really surprising for an Uchiha. Man, whichever one of his parents wasn't an Uchiha had to have some strong genes to pass on those blue eyes and blonde hair to your father, and onto you. Naruto just laughed at that. Yeah, my dad's genes must be awesome, Naruto exclaimed, and then looked at the torn paper in his hands. So why did you have us test our affinity, anyways? He asked Kakashi, who realized he got off topic. Oh right, your affinity helps me know what elements you'll find the easiest to learn, so I can teach you the right jutsu. Your Sharingan is good for copying jutsu, but the strength of the jutsu will be dependent on your affinity or how much you've practiced the element of the jutsu you copy, Kakashi explained. Oh, so I'll find it easier to copy wind-style jutsu, and Sasuke will find it easier to copy lightning-style? Naruto asked. Kakashi nodded. Yeah, though I don't know many wind-style jutsu, since it's such a rare affinity, Kakashi admitted, and Naruto deflated a bit. However, I can still help you practice with lightning style. Usually it'd be ineffective because other affinities cost more chakra, but your massive reserves should offset the difference. You can ask Asuma to show you some wind-style jutsu once we've made it back to the village. With that, Naruto got visibly excited again, and even Sasuke looked like he was somewhat excited. Thanks for this, Kaka-sensei, Naruto shouted. Kakashi gave him an eye smile. It's no problem, it's kinda my job as your Jonin sensei. Though, I can't actually do jutsu yet, so you'll have to learn without using your Sharingan until I'm well enough to demonstrate the jutsu for you. He told them, and their faces fell a little, but they were still excited to be taught. I completely forgot what I was going to say here, so I may have some notes about this chapter at the start of the next. As always, I really appreciate the favorites, follows, and reviews. Luckily, I usually type out my responses to the reviews as I get them, so I can just copy and paste those here without forgetting what I wanted to say. Training clearing. On the third day of their training, Naruto and Sasuke had gone back to the forest so they could try sparring in a different environment. They chose to go back to the clearing they were using before because of the trees. They could adapt their tree climbing abilities to be used in a fight. They had been sparring for a few hours now, and it was really late. By this point, they were too tired to keep their Sharingan active, and punched each other one more time before passing out in the clearing. After a couple hours, a girl entered the clearing and noticed the two boys passed out on the ground. She walked up to them and paused for a moment before waking the pair up. Wadash Naruto started, and rubbed his eyes to clear up his vision. He looked over at Sasuke first, who was also rubbing his eyes, and then up at the girl who woke them up. "Oh, hey miss. Who are you?" Sasuke asked, narrowing his eyes at the girl. The girl turned to look at Sasuke and gave him a smile. "My name is Haku. What are you two doing sleeping out here?" she asked them. Naruto grinned at the girl. "My name's Naruto, and he's Sasuke. We were out here training," he told her, and Sasuke's eye twitched. "Idiot. Don't just go around telling random people who we are," Sasuke told him, gritting his teeth. Naruto looked at Sasuke, confused. "Why not?" she asked and told us her name. Naruto asked him and Sasuke just face-bombed. "Never mind," Sasuke grumbled. "No matter how much stronger you get, you're still you." Naruto just shrugged and turned back to Haku. "So what are you doing out here?" he asked, and Haku pointed to a basket of herbs. "My friend is injured. I'm collecting herbs that will help him get better," she told him, then looked at their forehead protectors. "Are you two shinobi?" she asked. Naruto nodded. "Yeah, we're here to dash." Naruto started, but Sasuke cut him off by covering his mouth. "Idiot, you can't go around telling people about shinobi business." Sasuke berated him and uncovered his mouth. Naruto scratched the back of his head. "Yeah, I guess you're right," he said and turned back to Haku. "Sorry, Sasuke's right. I'm not supposed to say anything." Haku gave him another smile. "It's all right," she told him. "So, do you have anyone precious to you?" she asked. Naruto just stared at her, confused. "Huh? Do you have anyone precious to you?" she asked him again. "I believe that a person can only become truly strong if their goal is to protect someone." Naruto looked at her for a few seconds, and then looked over at Sasuke and smiled. Not his usual grin, but a normal, genuine smile, and then turned back to Haku. "Yeah, there's the old man, Kaka-sensei, Irika, Sakura Dash." He took look at Sasuke again. "And Sasuke, he's like a brother to me, you know?" Naruto finished and turned back to Haku. Sasuke stared at Naruto, eyes wide. They'd been getting closer since he found out Naruto was an Uchiha. But he'd never considered having a brother again, not after what Itachi did. Haku turned to look at Sasuke. "So, how about you?" she asked, snapping Sasuke out of his thoughts. Sasuke stayed silent for a few more seconds, and then smiled, an actual smile, at Naruto. "Yeah, I see him as a brother, too, and I'd do anything to protect my family," Sasuke told Haku, before turning to Naruto with a smirk. "Even if he is an idiot." Haku laughed at that, and Naruto glared at him. "Every time," Naruto shouted, and Sasuke laughed. Haku got up and grabbed her basket. "Well, I've got to get going. It seems you two will be truly strong," she told them and began walking away. Naruto waved at her. "Bye, Haku." Haku, right before leaving the clearing, turned around and looked at them with a smile. "By the way, I'm actually a boy," he told them and left the clearing. Naruto and Sasuke just stared at each other, eyes wide. "Ha!" they shouted together. Tazuna's house. It had been a week since Kakashi had started to train the three genin, and all of them had made good progress. Kakashi taught Naruto the few wind jutsu he knew, and he taught both Naruto and Sasuke a few lightning jutsu. Sasuke took to the lightning jutsu faster than Naruto, as it's his main affinity, but Naruto started to learn how to intentionally cast Jinjutsu with his eyes. He hadn't started learning very advanced techniques yet, but he could now put people under subtle Jinjutsu mid-battle. Kakashi showed the pair a lot of the jutsu he'd learned over the years, but they were only able to master a few of them to a point where they could be used in battle. Sasuke also helped Naruto master the fireball jutsu because, even if it wasn't their natural affinity, it was still a signature of the Uchiha clan. Sakura had moved on from tree walking to water walking, as Kakashi decided that her chakra reserves were finally at a level where she could effectively walk on water. Currently, Naruto and Sasuke were working on combining Sasuke's fireball with one of Naruto's wind-style jutsu. Great breakthrough. Sakura was running across the water to increase her stamina and chakra reserves. She still wasn't anywhere near the level of her teammates, and she'll most likely never catch up to their chakra reserves, but she was finally at a level where she wouldn't be absolutely helpless in a fight. Kakashi, who was finally back at full health, walked up to where the three genin were training. They were just outside of Tazuna's house, with Naruto and Sasuke on the dock, aiming their combo attack out over the water. Sakura was running around the dock, but avoiding where the boys were attacking. Over the course of the week, they had taken turns guarding Tazuna, but now they were expecting Zabuza to attack again soon. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi called out, catching their attention. Naruto and Sasuke, who were in the middle of another combo attack, lost their focus and the attack backfired on them, throwing them back. Sakura just ran up to where Kakashi was, used to their occasional backfires. "Kaka-sensei," Naruto cried out, while he and Sasuke got up and dusted off their clothes. "You made us mess up." Ma, Naruto. Don't be so loud. You're both fine, and I came here to tell you three that, since Zabuza should be recovered soon, all three of us will be guarding Tazuna from now on. Kakashi told them. Sakura tensed up at that, but Naruto and Sasuke had an air of anticipation around them. Naruto grinned at Kakashi. "We'll definitely stop Zabuza. Believe it." Sasuke smirked with Naruto. "What the idiot said." Sakura looked around at Tazuna's house. "What if Gato sends someone here? Shouldn't one of us stay to protect Inari and Ms. Tsunami?" she asked Kakashi. Kakashi looked at her thoughtfully, then looked at Naruto. "Sakura makes a good point. You should leave a few shadow clones here," Kakashi told Naruto, who held up a sign. "Shadow clone jutsu," he exclaimed, and a dozen Naruto clones popped up around them, some on the water. "This should be good, right?" Naruto asked, and Kakashi nodded. Sasuke looked at the clones, and then looked at Kakashi. "What if Gato sends ninja here? Would shadow clones be enough to deal with them?" Sasuke asked. Kakashi shook his head. "Zabuza knows that we're the bigger threat. I doubt Gato would send anything more than some thugs to deal with Inari and Tsunami. Plus, Naruto can just tell us if any of the clones get dispelled," Kakashi explained. Naruto looked at him, confused. "How would I be able to know if they're dispelled?" Naruto asked Kakashi, whose sweat dropped. "You, really haven't noticed?" Kakashi asked, and Naruto just continued looking at him with confusion. "You get the memories of your shadow clones," Kakashi told him, and Naruto's eyes widened. Sasuke just stared at Naruto. "You've been spamming shadow clones for weeks, and you never noticed," Sasuke deadpanned. All of the Narutos chuckled and scratched the back of their head. "Well, I mainly just spam them for a fight and then they get dispelled so they don't have many memories to give," the real Naruto explained. "I totally would have noticed. Eventually." Sasuke sighed. "Aha, sure you would." Kakashi coughed. "Anyways, we should get going. Naruto clones, hide around the house," he told them. The Naruto clones all stood at attention and gave a mock salute. "Aye, aye," the clones shouted in unison, and disappeared. "All right, well, let's go get Tazuna and head to the bridge," Kakashi told his team, and they headed off to find Tazuna. Later, the bridge. Tazuna, Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura all walked up to the bridge and were greeted by the sight of all the workers groaning on the ground. He's here. Sakura, protect Tazuna. Naruto, Sasuke, get ready. Kakashi told his team and uncovered his 3 Tomo Sharingan. As Naruto and Sasuke activated their 2 Tomo Sharingan, a chakra-filled mist came over the area. What was that you said about my final battle, Kakashi? A voice asked from the mist and walked forward, revealing himself to be Zabuza. He was unleashing killing intent, causing Sakura to shake, but Naruto and Sasuke were able to resist it this time. The fake hunter ninja was beside Zabuza, still wearing his mask. Go deal with the Uchiha brats. Zabuza instructed the masked ninja, Haku. Yes, Lord Zabuza, Haku replied and approached the 2 Uchiha. Naruto and Sasuke shared a look and ran away from the others, making Haku follow behind them. Kakashi engaged Zabuza and took him away from Tazuna, leaving Sakura to protect Tazuna from any stray attacks. With that, the battles began. Naruto and Sasuke came to a stop once they were far enough away, and Haku stopped in front of them. I am sorry for this, Haku told them and prepared to fight. Naruto and Sasuke shared a look, and they both began to form signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu, Sasuke shouted. Wind style, great breakthrough, Naruto shouted, and the 2 jutsu combined, sending a massive fireball at Haku. Thanks to their Sharingan, Naruto and Sasuke were able to perfectly judge how much chakra to infuse into their attacks, so they combined perfectly. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Think that got him? He asked. Of course not, you idiot, Sasuke shouted back. When the smoke disappeared, they saw a wall of ice in front of Haku. Ah man, Naruto groaned, and Sasuke fought the urge to punch him. The ice melted away, and Haku ran up to them and they engaged in a taijutsu battle. He attacked Sasuke first, who dodged and gave Naruto an opening to attack. When Naruto punched Haku, his fist was frozen before it could make contact, and Haku kicked him, sending him flying back. Sasuke, who knew Naruto would be fine from experience, engaged Haku in a one-on-one. Haku was faster naturally than Sasuke, but Sasuke's Sharingan allowed him to keep up. After about a minute of them fighting one-on-one, Naruto managed to shatter the ice covering his hand and return to the fight. Sasuke, Naruto shouted, and Sasuke fell back, letting Naruto step into the fight. Naruto engaged Haku in a one-on-one, but he stayed on the defensive, closely watching the eye slits of Haku's mask until they made eye contact. On Haku's end, he watched Naruto take on fox-like features. The pupil of his Sharingan became a slit, his whisker marks thickened, and he grew claws. Suddenly, Naruto was much faster than he was, and he was on the losing end now. What the dash Haku started, before realization dawned on him. He put his hands into a sign and shouted, "Release!" He broke through the genjutsu Naruto placed him under, just in time to dodge another combination attack from Naruto and Sasuke. Damn it! Naruto shouted when he noticed that Haku broke out of his genjutsu. I see now. It was foolish for me to try and engage 2 Sharingan users in hand-to-hand. I will have to do something else, Haku said, and raced through signs before Naruto or Sasuke had the chance to stop him. Demonic mirroring ice crystals, Haku shouted, and mirrors of ice began to appear around Naruto and Sasuke. Before Naruto and Sasuke could react, Haku disappeared into the mirrors. The hell? Naruto asked, and then Senbon of ice rained down on the 2 Uchiha. Naruto attacked the dash Sasuke started, but was interrupted when he had to dodge a kunai strike from Haku. It's useless to resist. Not even Zabuza can escape this technique, Haku told them and attacked Naruto, who could barely get out of the way in time and ended up with a wound across his side. Naruto and Sasuke ran through hand signs as quickly as they could, and they unleashed another combination attack, this time aimed at the mirrors surrounding them. They prepared to escape the mirrors, and were shocked to see all they left was a few cracks, and the cracks were quickly fading. Haku took the chance to launch even more senbon at the duo. Sasuke was hit in the back of his leg and Naruto was hit in his arm, but they both dodged enough to avoid the senbon hitting anything major. Naruto and Sasuke ran through hand seals again, but this time they were forming the same ones. Lightning release. Lightning balls, they shouted together. Naruto unleashed more lightning balls because of his massive reserves, but Sasuke's were stronger thanks to lightning being his affinity. The balls all targeted one mirror, but the result was the same as before. What can we do? Naruto asked Sasuke, as the two of them dodged another rain of senbon. Try making some clones to shield us from some of these senbon, Sasuke told him, and Naruto formed a seal and made 6 shadow clones, which covered them from all sides. Okay, now Sasuke started. But he was cut off when the senbon started to rain down from directly above them. One of the Naruto clones jumped over them, shielding them from the senbon before dispelling. This left one of the sides open, which Haku quickly took advantage of. Damn it! Sasuke shouted, and watched as another clone was dispelled by the senbon. Give up, Haku told them, his voice echoing around them. I don't want to have to kill you. Give up the bridge builder and you and your comrades will be spared. Like hell, Naruto yelled, and Sasuke watched the mirrors closely. Tazuna did nothing wrong. How could you work for a man like Gato? I do as Zabuza commands, Haku told Naruto, and flew out of the mirror for another attack. This time, however, Sasuke saw him and rushed to intercept. Naruto, noticing this, followed Sasuke's example. They weren't able to land a defining blow, but they were both able to draw some blood from either side of Haku. He only travels in straight lines, Sasuke thought, and glanced at Naruto. Naruto, did you notice? Sasuke asked him, and Naruto nodded. Haku watched the two Uchiha from his mirror. This isn't good. They can see my movements because of their Sharingan. I need to finish this quickly, Haku thought, and launched more senbon at them. Naruto and Sasuke dodged the senbon, and they began running through hand signs again. Sasuke finished first, and unleashed a massive fireball at the direction the senbon came from. Haku quickly left for another mirror, but Naruto was expecting this and unleashed a blade of wind. The blade of wind hit Haku's mask, which was cut in half and fell off, before he disappeared back into the mirrors. I got Naruto started, and then noticed Haku's face surrounding them. Haku, he asked, and Sasuke narrowed his eyes. You were gathering herbs to heal Zabuza, Sasuke noted. Haku's reflection in all of the mirrors nodded. Yes, Zabuza is my precious person, Haku told them, giving them a momentary break from the attacks. I would do anything for him. I am his weapon. Naruto cut Haku off. Why would you work with someone like him? Naruto asked. Does he even care about you? Whether or not he cares about me is irrelevant. He saved me and gave me purpose. Without him, I am nothing, Haku told him and resumed attacking. Naruto, caught off guard, couldn't move fast enough to completely dodge the rain of senbon, and they hit his left leg. Ack! Naruto shouted and quickly removed most of the senbon. Sasuke, seeing this, ran over to protect Naruto while he healed. Naruto, how long do you think it'll be before your leg is fine again? Sasuke asked, deflecting more senbon aimed at Naruto. Naruto looked down at his leg and could tell that it was already mostly healed. I can move now, he told Sasuke, and glared at Haku's reflection in the mirrors. Haku, you're avoiding kill shots, Naruto shouted, surprising Sasuke. What? Sasuke asked. What makes you think that? Just now, I didn't have the chance to dodge, yet the senbon only hit my leg, Naruto told Sasuke, his gaze not leaving Haku's reflection in the mirror. You don't want to kill us, do you? Naruto asked. No, I don't want to kill you, Haku admitted. However, if you threaten to get in Zabuza's way, I will. Zabuza is just using you, Naruto shouted. He's a monster. If you don't stop us, We'll kill that monster. Naruto was cut off by an enormous amount of killing intent coming off of Haku. Don't insult Zabuza, Haku shouted, and sent more Sanbon at the duo than ever before. Naruto and Sasuke could only stand there as the hundreds of Sanbon flew at them, seeing no way out of the attack that flew at them from all sides. Then, as if magic, the world slowed down even further and they could see where the Sanbon would land. They could see the path that the Sanbon would travel, and both moved out of the way, dodging between the Sanbon. Once the rain of Sanbon stopped, they looked at each other and their eyes went wide. Both of their Sharingan now had a third Tomo, and the world was clearer than ever before. However, before they could say anything, Haku lunged at Naruto from the mirror. Thanks to his newly evolved Sharingan, Naruto was able to see the attack before it could reach them and easily jumped over it. Sasuke, taking advantage of the opening, charged at Haku before he could make it to another mirror and tackled him to the ground. Sasuke punched Haku in the chest, knocking the wind out of him and causing his hold on the mirrors to fail, making them melt. "Nice job, Sasuke," Naruto told him and ran over to where Sasuke was holding Haku. "How should we tie?" Naruto started, but was cut off by an icy aura emanating from Haku. Naruto and Sasuke quickly jumped back, barely avoiding ice spikes that grew from Haku's body. "Naruto, we have to kill him," Sasuke told Naruto. "His ice is too dangerous, and we don't have any way to incapacitate him. He seems to be fanatically obsessed with Zabuza. Leaving him alive will only create new problems," Sasuke explained, and Naruto frowned. "I know, but..." Naruto trailed off. Neither of them had killed before, but they both knew it was something they'd have to face eventually. Naruto just never expected it to be so soon, and never expected to have to kill a person like Haku. "I know. If we don't kill him, he'll kill us and he'll kill Sakura." Naruto finished and stared at Haku. Sasuke looked at Naruto for a moment and quickly looked back to Haku. "All right, let's go," Sasuke told Naruto, and the boys charged. Haku shot spikes of ice at them, but they were able to dodge thanks to their Sharingan. Once they were closer, Naruto jumped towards Sasuke, who boosted him up above Haku. Naruto raced through hand signs before shouting, "Fire style. Fireball jutsu." Fire wasn't his affinity, and he hadn't practiced fire as much as Sasuke, but he was able to offset the difference by overloading it with his massive reserves. The fireball flew down at Haku, who barely had enough time to put up a shield of ice that was melted by the fireball, canceling each other out. As Haku blocked the fireball aimed at him from above, Sasuke took the chance to charge at him with a kunai. Haku was barely able to dodge and ended up with a deep cut across his side. Naruto, still in the air above Haku, flew at him and punched him in the head, sending Haku straight to the ground. Naruto and Sasuke quickly jumped back, expecting more ice spikes to fly at them, and were surprised when the spikes didn't come. Naruto and Sasuke both steadily approached Haku, prepared for another wave of ice spikes, when they heard a sound coming from the direction of Kakashi's fight with Zabuza. It sounded like 1,000 birds chirping, and they looked over to see lightning emanating from Kakashi's hand. Zabuza was being restrained by Kakashi's dogs, and Kakashi was charging at him with the hand covered by lightning. Haku, seeing this, attempted to get away from Naruto and Sasuke to use himself as a human shield for Zabuza. Naruto and Sasuke, thanks to their Sharingan, saw Haku's attempt to move and quickly threw two kunai at Haku's chest, stopping and killing him. The pair thought Haku was moving to kill Kakashi, and didn't realize he was attempting to save Zabuza. Over at Kakashi's battle with Zabuza, Kakashi shoved his lightning-covered hand into Zabuza's chest. The last thing Zabuza saw before his death was the two kunai piercing Haku's chest. Once Zabuza died, the mist over the bridge began to clear. Sakura and Tazuna could only listen to the sound of fighting. Sometimes they could see a jutsu that broke through the mist, but they weren't prepared for what they saw when the mist cleared. Kakashi was pulling his hand out of Zabuza's chest, and it was covered in blood. Naruto and Sasuke were both standing over Haku's body, who had two kunai stabbed into his chest. Tazuna was a little shaken by the sight, but relieved that the battle was over. Sakura, however, hadn't considered the possibility of her teammates and sensei having to kill their opponents. She just stared at them, eyes wide, and didn't notice the mob approaching the bridge. Naruto and Sasuke stared down at Haku's body. The sight burned into their memory due to their Sharingan. Sasuke looked at Naruto, who had tears welling up by his eyes. I was always prepared to kill someone eventually. But Naruto, Sasuke thought, and put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto wiped his eyes before the tears could fall and looked at Sasuke. He opened his mouth to speak, but he was interrupted. Well, it appears the demon of the hidden mist wasn't all he was talked up to be. A voice came from where the bridge started, and everyone turned around to see a short man surrounded by gangsters with weapons. Gato, Kakashi stated, and Naruto glared at the new arrivals. You were the one who hired Zabuza and Haku? Naruto asked, 3 Tomo Sharingan spinning, rage dripping from his voice. Gato just laughed at them. Of course I am, and I came here to kill them to save money, but it looks like you all did my job for me. Guess I'll have to kill you all instead, Gato told them. Naruto began to walk towards Gato, and Sasuke followed close behind. You were going to kill them? They died for you, he yelled, and stopped when he was close enough to look into Gato's eyes, Sharingan still spinning. What's with these brats? Their eyes dash one of the thugs started, but he was interrupted by a scream coming from Gato. Oh, a monster. He's a demon, Gato screamed before passing out on the floor. The thugs all looked at Naruto with a mix of confusion and fear, until an arrow from behind landed in front of them. The thugs turned around to see a mass of villagers, all with various makeshift weapons, led by Inari with a crossbow. The thugs looked back and forth between Naruto and the villagers, and then down at their unconscious leader. Some of them decided to just give up, while others tried to make a run for it. This left Naruto and Sasuke standing in front of Gato's unconscious form, Kakashi, Tazuna, and Sakura all walking up to the duo. Sakura stayed back a bit, unsure of what to say to them. I was completely useless here. They had to kill someone and all I did was guard Tazuna. If I was better, maybe I could have helped them, she thought and watched them with uncertainty. Kakashi approached them, his Sharingan already recovered by his forehead protector. They had to kill someone on their first time out of the village. Minato-sensei would hate that they had to do this, Kakashi thought, and put a hand on both of their shoulders. Naruto, Sasuke, I'm sorry you had to dash, Kakashi started to tell them, but Naruto cut him off. Kaka-sensei, it's all right. If we didn't kill him, he would have killed you, Naruto said, and brought out another kunai. Naruto kneeled beside Gato, kunai in hand, and looked up at Kakashi. Gato is just unconscious, he isn't dead. Should we kill him? Naruto asked. His voice was emotionless and his Sharingan were still active, but Kakashi could see that he didn't really want to do it. Kakashi shook his head. No, I'll send a messenger to the Hokage and ask for him to send someone to take Gato back to the village for interrogation. We can interrogate him and use him to disable his businesses and help the Land of Waves, Kakashi told him, and Naruto put his kunai up. All right, Kaka-sensei. Naruto got up and deactivated his Sharingan, before walking back over to Haku's body. Sasuke followed him to Haku's body and deactivated his Sharingan. Naruto stayed silent for a few seconds, then looked at Sasuke. I feel bad for him. Sasuke nodded his head and looked at Naruto. Yeah, I think I can understand why he was so attached to Zabuza. After Itachi killed everyone, I latched onto the idea of avenging the clan and killing him. Without that goal, I think I might have felt pathless like Haku. Naruto nodded. Yeah, the old man, Irika-sensei, old man Tucci, and Ayam were the first people who acknowledged me when I was alone. If someone like Zabuza had acknowledged me before any of them. He looked back to Haku. I probably would have been just like him. Sasuke put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Well, you aren't alone anymore. You have all of them, Sakura, Kakashi, and you have me, he told Naruto with an uncharacteristic smile. Naruto gave a small smile. Yeah, I know, he said, then looked over at Kakashi, who was talking with Tazuna. Kaka-sensei, he shouted, getting Kakashi's attention and causing him to walk over to the two boys. Naruto pointed at Haku, and then over to Zabuza. We should give them good burials. They were trying to kill us, but Gato was the one paying them. They were both shinobi. Naruto told Kakashi. He really is just like you, sensei. Even if he has Kushina's personality more than he has yours. Kakashi thought with an eye smile. Yeah, I was going to suggest the same thing, Kakashi told him. The three of them stood there for a bit, until a voice called out Naruto. They looked over and saw Inari standing next to his grandfather. Naruto ran over to them with Sasuke following behind. Kakashi walked over to Zabuza's body and picked up the executioner's blade, before going back to join the others. When Naruto reached Inari, Inari hugged him. Thank you, Inari told Naruto, who just smiled. Grandpa told me you were the one who took Gato out. You're so cool. How did you do it? Inari asked. Oh, I put him in a genjutsu. Made him think he saw me turn into a demon, Naruto told Inari. Inari stared up at Naruto, obviously confused. What's a genjutsu? Naruto scratched the back of his head. How do I explain this? I basically put him in a forced dream, I guess. I dunno. Someone else could probably explain it better than me. I can only do them because of my eyes, Naruto told Inari, and activated his Sharingan to show Inari. Inari stared at him, wide-eyed. Whoa, those are cool. I saw your eyes turn red when you yelled at me, but I didn't realize they had powers, Inari exclaimed. Oh yeah, heh, sorry about that, Naruto laughed. I sometimes activate them unintentionally when I'm upset. You know? Naruto told Inari. Oh, Sasuke has them too, Naruto said and turned to Sasuke. Show him. Sasuke sighed and reactivated his Sharingan to show Inari. Whoa! Inari turned to Sakura. Do you have them too? He asked. Sakura sighed and shook her head. No, but Kakashi-sensei has one. Inari looked up at Kakashi. You do? Can you show me? Kakashi lifted his headband up so Inari could see his Sharingan. Mine isn't as good as theirs, though. I can't deactivate it, so I keep it covered, Kakashi explained and recovered his eye. Naruto and Sasuke followed his example and deactivated their own. Whoa, why can't you deactivate it? And why do you only have one? Inari asked Kakashi. It's an Uchiha thing, Sasuke told Inari, who turned to him with a questioning look. The Sharingan, that's what our eyes are called, is a power my clan has. Me and Naruto are Uchiha and awakened our Sharingan naturally, so we can activate and deactivate them, but Kakashi was given his, so his doesn't deactivate. Sasuke explained to Inari. Oh, that's really cool. Does everyone in your clan? Inari started to ask, but Tazuna covered his grandson's mouth and Inari just made muffled noises. Tazuna bent down to his grandson's ear. They're the last of their clan. Everyone else was killed. He whispered to Inari, whose eyes widened. Sorry about that. He's a kid and didn't know. Tazuna apologized for his grandson. Naruto just waved it off. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't expect a kid to know, Naruto told him, and Sasuke nodded in agreement. Kakashi looked at the two young Uchiha. While we're on the topic of Sharingan, did I notice another Tomo in both of yours? Kakashi asked. Naruto and Sasuke both activated their Sharingan and looked at each other. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. It's really cool. I could see the attacks before they actually happened, Naruto said, and Sasuke nodded in agreement. Yeah, I've heard about the predictive abilities of the Sharingan, but that was even more amazing than I thought it'd be, Sasuke agreed. Kakashi gave both of his students an eye smile. Right? And your Sharingan take way less chakra than mine. Honestly, I'm a bit jealous, Kakashi told them, and Naruto laughed. Yeah, that probably sucks, but you still have more experience using it than me or Sasuke, Naruto told his sensei. Yeah, But I doubt it'll take you too long to catch up and surpass me, Kakashi admitted with an eye smile. And if you don't, I would have failed as a sensei. Your father would never forgive me if I didn't pass all my skills on to you. Sakura, who'd been just listening to the conversation, gave Kakashi a confused look at the last part. You knew Naruto's father, Kakashi-sensei? I thought he didn't know who his parents were. Sakura asked. Oh yeah, I still haven't told you. It's a secret, so I'll tell you later, Naruto told Sakura, who still looked confused but shrugged. By now, most of the civilians had gone back to their homes, and most of the unconscious workers woke up. Gato was still unconscious, and Kakashi tied him up and wrote a letter for the Hokage, which he gave to one of his dogs and sent to Konoha. The bridge workers were all thanking the ninja, until Tazuna ordered them to get back to work. Kakashi was low on chakra after his fight with Zabuza, but Naruto and Sasuke were mostly fine, except for a few sunban injuries on one of Sasuke's legs. Sakura was perfectly fine, as she was just protecting Tazuna the whole time. After a few hours, a few ANBU showed up and took Gato back to the Leaf, along with Zabuza's sword. Gato woke up once, but Naruto knocked him out with another Jinjutsu. Tazuna and the workers finished for the day a little after that, and everyone headed home to get some rest. There wasn't much more work to be done on the bridge, so Team 7 would be able to head back to Konoha soon. Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Sakura gave Zabuza and Haku a proper burial before heading back to Tazuna's house. The next day, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi were all standing on the newly finished bridge, and they were all saying their goodbyes to Tazuna, Tsunami, and Inari. So, what are you gonna name the bridge? Naruto asked Tazuna, who gave him a smile. I was thinking about calling it the Great Naruto Bridge. After all, you are the one who took down Gato, Tazuna told him. Naruto grinned sheepishly and rubbed the back of his head. Well, I couldn't have done it without Sasuke helping me against Haku. What about the Great Uchiha Bridge? So that it includes both of us? Naruto asked, and Sasuke elbowed him. Don't listen to the idiot, he's just being humble. I think that the Great Naruto Bridge is a great name, Sasuke told Tazuna, who gave a Naruto-like grin. Then it's settled. This is the official opening of the Great Naruto Bridge, Tazuna declared, and Sasuke smirked while Naruto grinned. Ah, well, we should get going, Kakashi told them with an eye smile. Who better than Naruto himself to be the first one to cross the Great Naruto Bridge? Naruto looked over at Inari, who was obviously fighting back tears. Hey Inari, it's okay to cry when you're happy, you know? Naruto told him, and Inari stopped fighting back the tears. You should all visit the village at some point. It'd be great to see all of you again, he told them, and Tazuna and Tsunami smiled at him. I'll be sure to remind them to visit, Tsunami told him and ruffled Inari's hair. Make sure you do, Naruto told her. Alright, well, bye, Naruto said and waved at them. Bye, Tazuna, Tsunami, and Inari all told the ninja. Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke all returned the goodbye and began walking down the bridge. After a few minutes of walking down the bridge in silence, Sakura spoke up. So, what did you mean about your father being a secret? Sakura asked Naruto. Naruto gave Kakashi a questioning glance, and Kakashi nodded an okay. Well, my father is Minato Namikaze, you know? Naruto told Sakura. Minato Namikaze? Sakura echoed, and then it clicked. Your dad was Dash, she started. But Sasuke covered her mouth. Not too loud, it's a pretty big secret. Iwagakure would be pissed if they heard the yellow flash had a son, Sasuke told her, and removed his hand. Sakura blinked a few times. Sasuke's hand was over my mouth, she thought. Cha! Take that Ino pig. Inner Sakura screamed in her head. Then she remembered the conversation they were having. Your father was the Yondaime Hokage? Sakura asked, shocked. Naruto nodded his head. Yeah, and my mom was Kushina Uzumaki. he told her. Sakura looked at him, confused. Wait, if your father is Minato Namikaze, and your mother is an Uzumaki, then how are you an Uchiha? She asked. Apparently Minato-sensei was an Uchiha, Kakashi told her. Sakura blinked a few more times. The Yondaime was an Uchiha? Wait, and Kakashi's teacher was the Yondaime. Naruto's father taught Kakashi. Yep, and you can't tell anyone about any of this, Naruto said. At least, you can't say anything until the old man decides I'm strong enough to protect myself. Sakura looked at him in a whole new light. Ha! Now that I think about it, you do look a lot like the photos I've seen of the Yondaime. How did I never notice? Why doesn't everyone notice? Sakura asked. Sasuke grunted. There's a lot of things people don't notice when you ignore someone's existence. Sasuke mumbled, once again confusing Sakura. Ignore someone's existence? She echoed, and looked at Naruto. Ah! Don't worry about it, Sakura, Naruto told her, and silence fell over the group. Kakashi was just listening to most of the conversation. It seems like Sasuke really cares for Naruto. And it seems like Sakura is beginning to realize there's more to him than meets the eye, Kakashi thought.